Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dynasty Racing League. This is DRL TV. My name is Ryan Branch, and I'm joined in the booth tonight by Martin Wenzel. Martin, how we doing this evening?
Doing good.
Excellent. Tonight we are coming to you guys live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.5-mile track. We're going to run 278 miles around the track this evening, 111 laps. This is the SGK Racing Patriot 111. We're honoring 9/11, year 2001. We're going to do a quick tribute video to all of the American heroes that gave their lives to save as many Americans as possible on that day in 2001. And we will join you guys right back here in just a couple minutes for some awesome racing action here at Indy.
It looks like it was moving.
Where were you when the world stopped turning? That September day.
September 11th, 2001. Never forgotten. United we stand. Thank you to everybody for joining us this evening. We do want to give remembrance to all the heroes here in America that saved as many lives as they could that day 17 years ago. Tonight there is a little different agenda. We do have the final race of the Dynasty Racing League's Molnar Automotive Cup Series here tonight. This is, again, the SGK Racing Patriot 111. SGK Racing, the whole racing team does benefit the Susan G. KOMEN organization. That is a breast cancer organization. I know the owner of SGK Racing, Getty Buckner, Susan G. KOMEN did help him and his mother through a tough time there. So thank you very much to Getty Buckner and SGK Racing for sponsoring this event. I think this is their 9th year, or about to go into their 9th year of racing together there at SGK. So across multiple platforms, I think they started in NASCAR 2009 on the Xbox 360. They've moved through multiple Forzas, etc. Now they find themselves here together. Getty Buckner and Andrew Short on iRacing. Andrew Short, I think he is the runner-up in our Indy Series on Thursday nights. And Getty Buckner will be racing here this evening. He took second place last night in that Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters Grand National Series. So great job by Getty. And we're going to run through a quick starting order here. See what we have for qualifying. Martin, you excited for this race, man?
Yeah, I'm excited to look up who's in third place there starting this race. Getty Buckner right there in that Susan G. KOMEN car. I love that paint scheme. On the front row, we got Eric Wolf in a new paint scheme running that Jeff Gordon DuPont with the red flames. And Anthony Burrows. So we got Wolf and Burrows on the front row where we expect them to be. And Burrows running a little patriotic SKF scheme there.
Oh, yeah. I love these paint schemes, man. Everybody's ready for this race.
Yeah, a lot of new paint schemes for some of these guys because of the switch over. Number of them switched over to the new Camaro for the Chevy, so got a few new guys.
Yeah, brand new car here in iRacing. For those who don't know, NASCAR did swap over to that new vehicle, so iRacing has finally done all of the work they need to do to get that thing down on paper, and they finally brought it to everybody here in iRacing. So pretty cool. I think anybody who had the previous Chevrolet SS got that for free if they bought it within the last couple
of
years,
yep.
right? Yeah, and then anybody prior to that had to purchase the new one, but a lot of these guys running that new Camaro, which is pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of Chevy myself, Martin, but, you know, I wish Ford still ran something here in the Cup Series, but...
Yeah, I don't know if I'm tempted to maybe pick up the Camaro. It's a cool look. I really like that the front end there. It's kind of something different. It's got a little bit more of a, not just a flat, boring front. They're kind of getting some style to these cars again.
We're going to roll through the starting grid real quick here. We got Eric Wolf there starting in the first position. Anthony Burrows does start second. Getty Buckner starting in the third position with Ben Izinga in fourth. We're going to have Chris Stouffer in the fifth position. Mike Springer starts sixth. Wade Hustad in the seventh position. John Theodore eighth. Ninth position goes to Eric Johnson. 10th to Chad Presnall. 11th is Joseph Helt. 12th position goes to Mitchell Briggs. Dustin Musial in 13th. Hunter Johnson in 14th. Thomas Harmon in the 15th position. Carl Dodson in 16th. Jim Westerfield 17th. Matt Kleinschmidt 18th. Chris James in the 19th position with John Mullins starting 20th. I finished up the starting order here. Alexander Russell in 21st and PJ O'Leary in 22nd. We are getting ready to take the green flag. Sam Niederhelm starts 23rd. James Pandoff in the 24th position. Cy Jackson 25th. Aaron James 26th. And the pace car is going to pull off. Alec Martinez starts in 27th. David Wellborn 28th. And there's the jump. And this race is underway. James Pandoff straight down onto pit road immediately. Or Cy Jackson comes down pit road immediately.
Yeah, Wade Houston was right on the bumper of Chris Stouffer on that start. I feel those guys are kind of pushing. Some of those guys didn't really get a good jump on the start. And Eric Wolf out to a commanding jump, and Getty Buckner slips into second already.
Eric Wolf running a new paint scheme here tonight there in the number 24 car. I love the Gordon paint scheme. That's absolutely awesome there in the DuPont Chevrolet. A little ode to Jeff Gordon, one of the greatest racers in NASCAR history. And Getty Buckner's already moved into third. Or second, I'm sorry.
Yep, up there in second as we finish the first lap.
My screen was showing, for some reason, it was showing James Pandoff in the first position. But everything's corrected now. We do have Eric Wolf running first. Getty Buckner running second. Anthony Burrows just behind him in the third position. So very technical.
File up there.
It's a really technical track we have here at Indianapolis, Martin. You have to get in and out of the corners at very specific times. You kind of have to dive hard into these corners and run right on that white line in order to maintain speed. So not surprising that these guys have single filed out here already.
Yeah, there's a battle for, like, what are they battling for? They're battling for probably 13th. It looks like Hunter Johnson and, or actually 12th, I would say. Hunter Johnson and Eric Johnson battling it out.
Yeah, the
right
Johnson brothers back here. Not actually related to one another, but
and Joseph Heltman can move on John Theodore into turn one. So that group of cars, those six positions kind of battling side by side.
You see Helt in the 0-2 there to the inside of the Corey Busch Ford 89. Gets that position quite easily. Very early in the race. We're only 3 laps in here. Obviously, these guys want to take their time. Don't want to do anything drastic or try to push the limits here too early in this race.
Yeah, Wade Houston's going to slip by Chris Stouffer for 6th place going into, what is that, turn 3?
Yeah, you know, they earlier in the season, we've actually ran it. I think we ran Pocono twice already, but they do model turn 2 there at Pocono after Indianapolis. So, again, it's just a real sharp corner. The amount of speed that these cars carry down these straightaways to enter into turn 1 and turn 3 here at Indy is no easy task. You got to do it perfectly, or there can be drastic consequences.
I didn't feel it was too hard, but of course I'm running NIS against some pretty low I-rating guys, so you don't have to drive as fast as you would in this race, where these guys are totally on edge.
Well, not as difficult, I wouldn't say, Martin, if you're by yourself. The difference is when you're trying to run outside of somebody, you never really know how much speed they are carrying.
Yeah, the outside. So, yeah, the outside is a tricky place.
Yeah, that inside car can tend to push up through the apex and kind of shove that outer guy towards the wall, and then he has to play the avoid the wall game, which is never really fun, because if you touch that outside wall, you're bound to shoot right down to the inside wall while trying to get off of it. So.
Yeah, I always think outside's the trickier place to be, because that inside guy can just completely destroy you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas on the inside, if you're a courteous driver, you can realize you got to hold it down there and do what you need to do to maintain that line, and not go up and wreck the guy on the high side.
Like you were saying earlier, Martin, here, Anthony Burrows running in that number 62 car. Amazing paint scheme he's got on for Patriot Day here tonight.
Yep, he's back up in second.
And Getty Buckner, no surprise, him running in third. Typically not a driver we talk about here in the Cup Series running in the top 5, but he's killing it tonight. He did very well last night. Seems he's come in really prepared for Indianapolis this week. Wade Hustad, he was our pole sitter last weekend. He does sit in the 4th position, barely ends up losing last week's race. I think he dominated pretty much the entire night, 160-plus laps led last weekend. Was able to be overtaken by the likes of Anthony Burrows there towards the end of the race, thanks to pit road, but Wade Hustad looks like he's chasing yet another victory here tonight as he runs 4th. Mike Springer currently runs in the 5th position there in the number 12 car. Also a new paint scheme for him here tonight with the in-and-out scheme on. I like it. We did have throwback weekend last week at Darlington, everyone, so some of these guys are going to come in with some fresh paint schemes. Might have decided to change things up after getting the throwback off the car, but Chris Stouffer currently runs in the 7th position in the 07. Chad Presnall runs in, or Chris Stouffer ran in 6th, I'm sorry. Chad Presnall runs in 7th in the number 55. You know, I got a brief word with Chad Presnall prior to this race. Said he didn't get a ton of practice in here, and doesn't usually, but his buddy Wade Hustad, I guess, helps him out quite a bit. Those two able to get around these tracks pretty handily, and both have a pretty good running so far this season as we pull up the point standings. Anthony Burrows with 8 wins here in the Molnar Automotive Cup Series. 2nd season in a row. He's been absolutely dominant. Wade Hustad, the guy I was just talking about a minute ago, he has 5 wins so far here this year. Jonathan Schwartz with 3 wins. Chad Presnall with 2 wins. Thomas Harmon with 1, and Hunter Johnson with 1. All those guys are locked into the playoffs, and as you guys look through the rest of these top 16 drivers, you'll see Eric Wolf and David Wright also have a win under their belt. However, they have not made it to at least 80% of the races here with the DRL, so they still need to qualify by points. If you've made it to 80% of the races and you have a win, you're automatically guaranteed to be in the playoffs, but those two did miss a few races, so unable to sneak into those playoffs based on their win alone.
Yeah, and you see that with Joseph Helt, who has 2 wins, and he's on the outside looking in, and
unfortunately,
probably won't make
Helt
it in because David Wellborn is running and Sam Niederhelm, both of those guys are running. So the battle, I think Wellborn's pretty safe because it's a 43-point difference.
Yeah, there is
above,
no
Sam Niederhelm.
chance for Joseph Helt to make it into the race here. Yep. The chances of Sam Niederhelm would essentially have to win the race and get every bonus point possible. He'd have to lead a lap, lead the most laps, and he would have to stake around for the session, and he would have to have 0 incident points. And David Wellborn would need to finish dead last in order for him to give up that 16th position. So this will be our top 16 running order.
Yeah, I think so.
For the
I don't think if anyone else wins either. I don't think Chris Stouffer might have enough participation that if he gets a win, he could bump Wellborn out, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Stouffer's been here for quite a bit of the races. I think he missed 4 or 5 in the middle of the season, but he might still qualify based off
He might have enough, but
I know Niederhelm and Helt, neither one of them qualify based on participation.
It's really hard for Niederhelm. Yeah, we're pretty much set here. The Grand National Series last night, I mean, it's basically pretty much set. Of course, the trucks, the season's over, so.
We got Eric Wolf's already put a 1.5-second gap on Anthony Burrows, who runs 2nd. Getty Buckner in 3rd position. He is back to about 3 seconds behind Wolf. Wade Hustad, who is at the start of this big pack right here. I don't know if he's holding these guys up, but yeah, Hustad is about 4 seconds off the lead right now. So Eric Wolf absolutely putting on a clinic so far here tonight.
Yeah, Helt was looking for a way to get past Springer there, just couldn't do it, and that made him back off, and now kind of holding up Presnall, who's got a little bit of speed coming out of the corner there.
I'm not going to say it's like Darlington, Martin, where it's absolutely impossible to pass people here, but definitely not easy. And if you're going to do it, you kind of have to, quote-unquote, dive bomb a corner in order to get around them. And that's when you start to put yourself at risk for a crash. So very early in the race, we're only 10 laps in here out of 111, so I don't think these guys are ready to make a move like that yet.
Well, like I said, it depends on who you're racing against, and because these guys are all so good, it is harder to pass because I did the 2 NISs this past week and started in the pits, and by lap 5 I was in 3rd place. So it's really easy to pass when you're doing NIS and people are driving very conservative or don't drive very well, especially in my splits. But up here, these guys are all really, really good. I mean, all these guys are race winners. These guys win a ton of official races probably, and all these guys have won races in our league at one point or another. So.
Well, speaking of the pits, Martin, Indianapolis is an absolutely massive racetrack. 2.5 miles around the racetrack here at Indianapolis. There's 253 acres on the infield here. So pit road is very long. The pit speed is very high at 60 miles per hour. I know we had some issues last night in the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters Grand National Series. Some guys were tending to slide through their pit boxes, not used to getting down to speed in as quick of a manner as you have to do here at Indy. So what do you think? How long do we have on a fuel run here tonight, Martin?
Ooh, what? I want to say I'm gonna say about 30 to 40 laps.
Yeah, so most of the guys, or a lot of what I'm hearing so far tonight, is between 33, 34, 35 laps, somewhere in that range. If we go green here for quite some time, we will have guys coming down on about lap 33 or beginning the pit right in the early 30s. Pit road can cause a huge difference in how these guys are going to finish. You can lose absolute precious seconds on pit road all night long.
Well, and Indy's one of these tracks, I think, probably Indy and Pocono, where pit road gets pretty interesting with people entering pit road and running into those barrels and doing some weird stuff. And we got a yellow flag.
Yeah, speaking of pit road, Ben Izenga just comes down into the pits, and that might have been the cause of this accident back here. As we go back and try to see what happens, looks like Izenga might have crashed into pit road. So I'm going to go back and we'll get an instant replay
Now,
real
where
quick
is
here.
this?
So we were watching the number 94 of Ben Izenga. We're going to see what
Yeah,
happens.
he just
to
got
him.
loose coming out of a turn 4 and just slid right down into pit road. So I don't think he took anyone with him.
Oh, he gets loose right there next to the wall. The 22 of Dustin Musial verily avoids him, and he does unwantingly
Incredible luck
slide
for
down
Izenga.
onto pit road, stays out of the wall completely. Very good luck by him and the rest of the field in order to stay out of him. Surprising that the yellow flag came out there, Mark.
Yeah, lucky for him because, but also lucky for everyone else that didn't really cause anything. Whoa, and he's getting a little squirrely driving behind the pace car now.
We do have Eric Wolf here in the number 24. He still runs in the first position. I think all these guys are going to come down onto pit road. I am going to bring in Getty Buckner, our sponsor for tonight's race there with SGK Racing. I talked about him before the race began here tonight. These guys are going into their 9th season together, him and Andrew Short, who runs in our Indy Series on Thursday evenings. Huge shout out to Getty Buckner. Thank you very much for sponsoring tonight's race. Anybody else who wants to sponsor a race or be involved with the Dynasty Racing League, please head over to www.dynastyracingleague.com, and there is both a donation button and there's also contact information. If anybody is interested in joining the league, helping the league out as far as broadcasting, sponsoring, etc., please reach out to us. We're picking people up all the time and be happy to have you. So I'm going to go down here as Eric Wolf pulls down on the pit road, and I'm going to grab Getty Buckner. Pull him in for a quick interview. Getty Buckner, you got a copy, sir?
I do.
Hey, man, we talked about you already a couple times tonight. SGK Racing, the sponsor for this evening's race. Tell us a little bit about your racing team and what tonight's all about for you, man.
Well, our racing team was established on Xbox originally. It was me and Andrew Short, who was also part of DRL. And, for the past 9 years, obviously we were playing other games, but SGK Racing is going to be geared towards the racing aspect of it. And, we've got some league championships. We've got some, race wins. Pretty awesome guy to have around. And sponsoring this race is kind of my way of honoring Andrew Short, who's been with me for a decade. And, on this day in particular, when we're honoring, people that we lost on 9/11, sacrifices people made, Andrew Short's also a veteran. So, that means a lot to me to be able to hang out with somebody who's, willing to put himself in the line of fire. So, that's what today is all about for me.
Yeah, definitely various American heroes out there in all forms, both our military and all of the firefighters and police department that lost their lives on 9/11 and 2001. Greatly appreciate you sponsoring this race. I know you guys do race on behalf of Susan G. KOMEN as well. I talked about that earlier.
Correct.
What does that mean for you?
Well, my mom is a cancer survivor, and we actually use Susan G. Komen as a resource. They provide us with knowledge, and depending on your diagnosis, they give you certain things that you can use as a tool to, build your body back up. So, obviously that that's going to have a little bit of an important aspect in my life there, and it's just been SGK racing since the very beginning. It was never anything else. So I mean, here we are today, almost 10 years later. Me and Andrew still repping KOMEN, and coming in here in DRL and having an opportunity to try to make this race a little bit special on a day that deserves some extra recognition. That's what it's all about, man.
Definitely special for everyone, man. I couldn't imagine my life without my mother. I imagine you feel much the same, as
Exactly.
do a
Yeah.
lot of our viewers out there tonight. You came in last night and you finished second. Had a good chance to end that race with a victory. Had some unfortunate circumstances down there on pit road late in the
hmm
race, but tonight seems like you're doing very, very well. You have Christopher just got around you on pit road, so maybe
No.
another mistake or just a a
Just
split
being way
second
too
type
careful.
thing. Yeah,
I'd
it's
rather lose I'd rather lose 3/10 of a second than lose 10 seconds. You know what I mean?
yeah. I talked about it
um,
earlier. One of those guys who maybe slid through a pit box last night. You were in that position, so you come out in fourth out of the pit road just now.
yeah.
I don't know. Those top two guys are running pretty hot, man. I wish you the best of luck.
I
I hope you're able
Yeah,
to.
I've got nothing for them, but my goal tonight is just to keep this beautiful pink Ford up near the front. Now let's just get a good finish because this will be my last time running the A car this year.
Yeah, all playoff drivers from here on out. Go out there and get them, Getty. Hopefully, we'll chat with you at the end of the night, man.
Yeah, have a great broadcast, sir.
Thanks, man. And that was Getty Buckner, sponsored for tonight's race. Getty, what channel were you in?
I was in Dysfunctional Patriots.
Yes, sir. We'll move you down there. So again, big shout out to Getty Buckner for sponsoring tonight's race, SGK Racing, him and Andrew Short. We are stacked up too wide here. We're going to take the green flag here in just a minute. Martin, these front two guys seem to be running away with it. Christopher able to get around Getty Buckner there. I think you can kind of stack people up and kind of cause a line of cars right on each other's bumpers if you're not quick in these corners. You think Christopher's going to benefit from having some clean air here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're faster, it's good to just not have to work around someone who's slower. As we said, it's difficult to pass, especially since these guys are all really fast. There isn't it isn't like an official race where you'll have a guy that might have a higher, might just be hanging back and slamming on the brakes, but here all these guys are racing hard. I don't think any of these guys are going to drop back to the back of the field, especially up in this top group. So to get by them, you have to gain that advantage on the turn, get down on that white line, and get underneath them and force them to the outside.
Yeah, definitely not going to be easy for anybody to get around one another here tonight. I think Eric Wolf, one of those guys who just drives these technical tracks very, very well. I know I talked to him briefly in the middle of the season earlier this year and asked him what his brake bias looked like, which for any of our viewers, if you don't know what that means, how much brake is applied to the front wheels versus the rear wheels. Obviously, if too much is applied to the front wheels, you're going to burn up those tires a little faster by getting things too hot. And he didn't have a brake bias for the entire race. He changed his brake bias as he went throughout one corner to the next. So definitely amazing at racing these technical tracks, and we'll see if he's able to maintain this first position as pace car is getting ready to pull down pit road here, and we're going to go back to green flag action. Eric Wolf being very patient before making the start, waits for the green flag, heads off nice and quick. Anthony Burrows right behind him. Looks like Christopher is going to be able to maintain his position here as he gets to the inside of Getty Buckner. But maybe hits the brakes too hard entering turn one as Getty Buckner looks like he's going to take third away from Stouffer. And Anthony Burrows is going to take first away from Eric Wolf, or I say that, as they come up side by side, heading down the backstretch. This is a battle as old as the Dynasty Racing League right here, Martin. These two drivers absolutely stellar week in and week out. Fun to watch them race next to one another.
Yeah, but look at Getty, just able to get it right on their bumper because they're battling.
Yeah, definitely not something you want to do too much. Fight with one another and allow some cars behind you to catch up, but these two are the class of the field. They were running away in that last stint, so see if everybody else can stay caught up here this time. And Eric Wolf starts to put the gap on him. So we have Eric Wolf running in first, Anthony Burrows second, Getty Buckner in the third position. Chris Stouffer there in the 07, right on Getty Buckner's heels, running fourth. Mike Springer runs in 12th in that beautiful in and out number 12. Or, I mean, he runs 5th, I'm sorry. In the in and out number 12. Eric Johnson runs in 6th. John Theodore runs 7th. Thomas Harmon in the 8th position. Joseph Health 9th. And Chad Presnell in the 10th position. Presnell here, Martin, maybe not as prepared as he is most weeks. Seems to be having a little bit tougher time here with Indianapolis.
Yeah, and he's watching Health go past John Theodore, and he's gonna look for that opening.
Yeah, following right behind him. I don't know what happened to Wade Hustad during that last pit stop. Hustad is all the way back in the 17th position there, the number 32, so not sure what happened to him. I'm going to try to go down and get an interview with him the next time we come to a caution flag and see maybe what happened there to the no fear number 32. I don't know if you can go back and try to capture that, Martin, and see maybe what could have happened there to the 32, but Hustad in an unfamiliar position back there in 16.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, he entered the pits in 5th under yellow. So I'm going to see, maybe he had a long pit stop or something. Yeah, it looks like he overshot his pits a little bit, and then he looks like he got some damage repaired. He had a little bit of damage on his right side.
Gotcha.
So that's
Getting
probably what.
A little bit
so
of a
he came out
longer pit stop than some of the other guys, so. That's what I was saying. If you try to put any of these passes on anybody, that wall sneaks up on you quick on the exit of these corners. So, and what are you doing? Over 200 miles per hour as you head into 1 and 3. So, very long straightaways here at the Brickyard. The reason this is called the Brickyard, the Indianapolis 500, as it's typically ran in NASCAR, which is 500 miles. The reason it's called that is 3.2 million bricks were laid here at this track in 1909 to originally pave this thing. So 3.2 million brick pavers were laid down here. Oh, and the current, as we do have a wreck in the back of the field, the current track does run an asphalt track. There is 1 yard of bricks still there at the start-finish line, which all the winners here at Indianapolis do bend down and kiss after they win this iconic race. Was that wrecked in the back of the field there, Martin?
It looks like Ben Izenga got into the back of Matt Kleinschmidt, sending him into the inside wall, and Kleinschmidt's already out of his car, probably heavy engine damage.
That was the number 59 there, the white car, and Matt Kleinschmidt.
Out of turn 2.
Izenga just barely rubs him, and then another car rubs him as he passes, and that sends Kleinschmidt directly into the inside wall. End of his night. He was running that brand new Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. So unfortunate ending to Kleinschmidt's night, but you still have a lot of race here in front of us.
Yeah, we have a number of guys who have switched over from Fords to that new Chevy Camaro.
Yeah, I think everybody just super excited for the Camaro to come.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's like I'm debating whether I should pick it up or not. Probably won't, but it's a really cool looking car. Something different, something new.
We're going to go grab a quick interview with Matt Kleinschmidt, see if, I'm sure he probably doesn't want to talk about what just happened, but see what that was like from his perspective.
Just wanted to run
Matt Kleinschmidt, you got a copy, man?
Yep.
Hey, this is Ryan up in the booth. Barely tagged there by Ben. Didn't look like he meant to touch you at all, but then there was just another car on the bottom of the track that tagged you as well. You see that as malicious from your point of view, or what were you feeling down there on the track?
That whole group of cars back there were they didn't let me in, and lap 20 or whatever out of 111, and they're racing like it's the last lap. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but we could have been a little more patient right there.
Yeah, tough driving, maybe a little bit too hard, man. Sorry for the early end to your night this evening. You, I don't know. Do you race in the Cup Series for points or?
No, I'm actually in the trucks, and I'm in the playoffs, but I really like this track, so just trying to get some laps in here. So.
Yeah, unfortunate end to your night tonight, man. I'm sure we'll see you back next week for the beginning of those truck playoffs. Can't wait to catch you there, and have a wonderful night, man.
All right, thanks.
That was Matt Kleinschmidt in the number 59 there that got taken out by Ben Idzinga. So, Martin, he said guys racing like it's, racing too aggressive for 20 laps in here. What did he mean by that?
Sorry, what was that?
I said Matt Kleinschmidt said that guys were racing
they were
too
racing
hard
a little aggressive.
What does he mean by
that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, people...
I mean, are you not supposed to race your heart out every lap, or are you? That's what I want to know. Because everybody has mixed emotions, especially on the racetrack.
Yeah, well, that's the difficulty, is that you do have guys that think, hey, every lap is, go time, and there are other guys that are like, hey, let's take it easy, let's get a few laps under our belt. I fall both ways there, because I'll say, hey, let's take it easy, and then I'll pass 5 or 6 guys while they're taking it easy and take their spots. But I think what that means is that it means don't put yourself in a spot where it's gonna be close. You're gonna bump someone, right? So I mean, if you can make the pass, go for it. Take the spots, but don't battle, don't dive, don't be very aggressive and do a slide job or something on lap 20. Because there's no point. That's just bringing out a yellow flag and wrecking your race and someone else's race really early on.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with how well the drivers know one another, how much how they think the other guy races, and whether they think they're a better driver than the guy in front of them. Because I'd understand, if we saw that happen and it was, for instance, if it was Eric Wolf or Anthony Burrows, one of these guys we talk about every week, and he was in Ben Idzinga's position there, and he's the one who touched Matt Kleinschmidt, would Kleinschmidt be a little less angry with one of those two drivers for touching him in the rear end? Because maybe he was just running close, and Kleinschmidt let off a little more than expected and kind of spun him. So, again, it does get tempers flaring down there on the racetrack, but as these guys get more and more used to each other here at the DRL, they will race better and better against one another. So I'm sure Kleinschmidt, again, isn't happy that his race ended in the way that it did, but you have to look at both sides of the coin, and that's why we have things like the boxing ring and places like that.
I think it's an age-old
Discord channel where guys can kind of talk through stuff and either apologize for what they did or say, hey, I was racing you dirty because you did earlier, etc. And that's, that's how rivalries are formed, right?
I think it's just a common complaint on iRacing. It's like, hey, you're driving over aggressive. Even though I didn't see anything, at least at that moment, that was overly aggressive. It just looked like they were all on top of each other. Now, I mean, there are times where you do see a driver that's clearly going in really aggressive and really throwing the car around and going into a turn and trying to take a turn when they could easily just wait until the next turn and take it then. And try to take everything all at once when you don't really need to. I mean, 1 lap to go, yeah, you need to take that. You need to take the position when you can take it. But lap 20, you have 80 more, at least 80 more laps. I mean, 90. And, if you can't get past the guy on that turn, you're closer and you're now set up to pass him in the next turn, maybe. You don't have to force it.
Right.
And that's where that's the over-aggressiveness sometimes you'll hear. It's like, well, you didn't need to pass, And this happens, we haven't had too much of it yet because we don't have a ton of lap cars out there as of yet. Actually, none, I think. Well, besides the guys that are already out of the race. But, that happens with lapped cars where a lapped car will be out there and the leaders come up on them or something, or even a guy or just people on the lead lap and they're like, hey, move out of the way, get out of the way. And you'll see a lead lap car kind of drive into a lapped car passing him, and it's like if you just waited until the front stretch or until the next turn when you were better set up for the pass, you wouldn't have wrecked and ruined your race. So you sometimes see that over aggressiveness, that impatience early on in a race.
I think everybody is all strapped in now. Everyone getting comfortable with the racetrack, hopefully getting comfortable with the drivers around them. We are 26 in out of 111. We will be taking the green flag on lap 27 here as these cars come around turn 3. Martin, I'm going to let you lead us to the green flag. I'll be back in just a moment here with DRL TV.
Yeah, pace car ducks off. Eric Wolf gets a nice jump. Field sort of goes into accordion behind him. Anthony Burrows, Chris Stouffer, and Getty Buckner top 4. John Theodore on the outside line. Falling back, Mike Springer and Chad Presnell probably get him in turn 3. That's kind of stacking everything up. Dustin Musial and Wade Hustad behind Chad Presnell and John Theodore. And I was just looking at that. I was looking at the battle between John Mullins and David Wellborn, and David gets down and crosses the hood of John Mullins on the front stretch. That's going to bring up the yellow flag. That's a big mistake by David Wellborn.
Another caution here already. I'm going to go try to
He goes
locate David
spinning,
Wellborn.
big spin. Corkscrew and barrel rolling down the front stretch. He's still on his hood.
David Wellborn. There he is.
Yeah, it was just that front stretch. Like that outside guy kind of wiggles and kind of coasts down into the inside a little bit, and it's kind of funny. I was like just looking at them, and I pulled away from Mullins and Wellborn, and a second later I hear Mullins chime up and, "What the heck you doing?" So, yeah, Mullins is now missing the hood of his car. He's running a new scheme, that Valvoline, and then Dave Wellborn now in the Camaro running a new Valvoline scheme.
What a nasty wreck by Wellborn there.
Yeah.
Thank God this isn't real life. It barely comes down in front of him. I think they were, I don't know, just a little bit too close to one another there. I don't know if that was intentional by Wellborn coming down to try to put a block there on the 64, but not pretty there by the 96. Definitely not what he meant to happen.
Yeah,
Watch.
on that outside line, you have to be very careful and stay straight. And then that inside line guy, I always notice that coming out of that turn and going down the front stretch, people kind of coast a little bit towards the inside all the time. And
yeah, I think it's just one of those things. You don't try to stick right next to the wall. You know what I mean? You just tend to pull your car down in the middle of the track and coast. And maybe the spotter didn't say anything to Wellborn there, but definitely comes down in front of the 64. And the 64 was already occupying that spot, so he does get into him. And once you're into that car, Martin, momentum kind of just carries you two together. There's no way to. It's like a magnet. There's no way to get unconnected from that other car. And looks like from 10th on back, we are going to have a bunch of pit stops here. Joseph Helt leads that pack. John Theodore, Carl Dotson, Edward Birch, Chris James, Jim Westerfield, Ben Izinga, John Mullins, Hunter Johnson, and Aaron James all in the pits. So there will be a few cars with a few laps fresher tires. Looks like the top 11 are going to have 6 laps on their tires, where everybody else is going to come in and get freshies, as we call them in racing.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow start here. 3 yellows already.
Yeah, a few
A lot
unexpected
of jitters.
caution flags after, 12 or 13 laps of green flag racing at the beginning of the race, and we have had 3 cautions in the last 16 laps, so let's go down and grab David Wellborn and see how he feels about that last wreck. Mr. Wellborn, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I got you.
Hey, man, looks like you were kind of just driving it straight down the straightaway. You kind of drifted a little to the left. Not that, again, nothing. I saw no ill intent there. Were you trying to put a block on the 64, or did the spotter not even let you know he was there?
No, I didn't even know he was there. Just went down the straightaway, and I got hooked. Maybe a little bit of net code. I went back and looked at the replay. Doesn't really look like he actually got into me, but you know, it is iRacing, so there's not much you can do about it. I got about 20 seconds left to towing, and I'm probably going to be sitting on pit road for about another 35 minutes. I took a real hard hit and rolled it.
Yeah, well, we saw you flipping down the front stretch there. So glad this isn't a real race, man, and your health's not actually in jeopardy. So, wish that didn't happen to you. Again, it didn't look like anything meant to happen there. It just, you guys were occupying the same spot on the track, and you were just driving it straight. So,
Yeah, I got 36 minutes to repair, so I'm just going to sit back, relax, and wait for him to repair this car.
well, hey,
Get back
man,
out there and finish it out.
you do sneak into the playoffs here in the 16th position unless Sam Niederhelm happens to pull it out with 0 incidents, wins the race, and you finish last, which isn't going to happen at this point. How do you feel about these playoffs coming up? Are you ready for the tracks in the playoffs?
Well, you know, with this new Chevrolet, I got a little bit of practice in today with Vegas, and I got a lot of practice in here today. I'm just really upset about this race here, but I kind of fixed myself to accidentally with Sam Niederhelm. I gave him 2 incidences already, so and that was at the beginning of the race, and I got to apologize for him to that. But
Well, again, he would have to sneak up there and come away with every bonus point possible and finish the race in first in order to get it. And as this race is going, unless he gets to first real quick and leads the rest of the laps throughout the night, that's not going to happen. So we wish you the best of luck in the playoffs and can't wait to see what kind of run you can make, man.
well, if I can make it through the first cut on the playoffs, I'm going to consider that a win. You know, I'm not one of the best drivers, but making the playoffs was really my goal here with DRL. So,
well, hey, you do broadcast here with the Dynasty Racing League. Obviously, everybody involved with the league appreciates all the work you put in. I think you might have a couple trophies lined up for the guys at the end of the season.
oh yes, sir. I bought trophies at the beginning of the seasons. You know, when we first started, and so each one of the winners are going to get a trophy from, well, from me. Just something I could do for the league. It wasn't much, but I got one for Fastlane Automotive. I got one for Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters, and then I got one for the Winona Road Truck Series winners. And be glad to get them out there to them when they win this championship.
Well, obviously, we thank you for that and all the other work you put in here with DRL, man. Hopefully, you can get back out there and run a few more laps. Have a great night, David.
Oh, I'm going to get back out there.
Just don't get into Niederhelm, all right?
Well, if this car ain't up to power, I'll pull back off. But I just ain't going to run nobody's race.
Which channel were you in tonight?
With weight use stat 32 to 65, you know, we're old men.
All right. I'll put you down with the old fellas.
All right.
Have a good one, David.
Uh-huh.
That was David Wellborn, the causer of the most recent caution there. Has put in a lot of work again here with the DRL. Huge shout out to David. I think his dedication here to the Dynasty Racing League almost goes unmatched, obviously, with minus yourself, Martin. We appreciate all the work you do with these graphics every week. You're never late. You never miss one. Bring all this stuff to our viewers every week, man. Just the amount of work you guys put in is absolutely great. It wouldn't be the Dynasty Racing League if it wasn't for you guys. So, and he seems to suffer a lot of the same heartbreaks as yourself, getting taken out in the weirdest little menial manners. Normally, it's not you who causes your incidents. You could just get caught up in silly stuff. David Wellborn seems to cause a couple more than he would like to, just because of where he is on the track at the time, but I think it was a
it's
couple
just-
weeks ago. He was running the high line at Bristol and got caught in a couple accidents because he wasn't running the low line instead of the high, and he just, trying to fit 3 cars 3 wide on that track is just really, really tough. So you just happen to be behind
as a
the
driver,
guy
you need to know
when he
you need to
wrecks.
know where to need to know where to put yourself to be in the best position, not to.
Pace car is going to come down here.
Yeah,
And
Wolf's gonna
once
take his
again,
time
Wolf, yeah, that's 2 in a row. Wolf waits until the last second before he decides to make his jump. Looked like the 12 of Mike Springer
He jumped
almost.
right away. Yeah, Springer got bounced out there.
Yeah, Springer almost pulling out a line there, which is against the rules here in the Dynasty Racing League. You will receive a black flag for that. So luckily he falls back in the line.
Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't using it to gain an advantage. It's just that he would have been right up in the rear end of the guy in front of him. It's just. Well, the last restart, Wolf took off right away, and there was an accordion effect, and Springer kind of must have missed a gear or something that kind of backed people up. And
yeah, Wolf definitely mixing things up, trying to put a little bit of gap between him and the likes of Burrows and Chris Stouffer in the 07. So using every advantage he has. I mean, no reason not to, right? You are the leader. You get to start the race however you please, as long as it's between that starting area and the start-finish line, and the green flag dropping. So,
well. As we said, the playoff field's basically set now. Eric Wolf is now looking to try to get a second win because that will get him another 3 bonus points in the playoffs, and you're going to need a lot of those because already Anthony Burrows is 24 points up, has a 24-point advantage, over anyone who doesn't have a win.
Yeah, it makes you
I think
wonder.
Wade Hustad is the points leader, right?
Hustad leads the points overall, but if you consider
he'll
playoff
get a
points,
few bonus points too. But he'll get a few bonus points for that. So
if you consider
right now we're looking at
everything,
bonus
I think
points,
we're 8 wins to 5 wins. Anthony Burrows with 8,
still
Wade
has the
Hustad
advantage.
with 5. So Burrows is going to have that advantage going into these playoffs. I think a lot of this with Eric Wolf here in the 24 just has to do with his tenacity and what he wants out of the Dynasty Racing League. This guy has come in. I think he has the most poles in the league, as far as I know, with 8 or 9 of them. Absolutely dominant as far as hot laps are concerned. Always running in the top 5th, and just had a few, underperformances, I guess you would say, as far as his standards are concerned. When it comes to the end of these races, he's just not able to put the ending together. Either loses positions on pit road, makes minor mistakes. Or just gets overtaken by Hustad or Burrows towards the end of a couple of these races. So Eric Wolf is coming out here and showing how good he really is, and I know he's a great driver when it comes to Homestead, so he's definitely a driver to watch for when it comes to these playoffs.
Well, I'd be curious if he had run all the races this season too, how many races he might have taken wins from, and if Burrows would have 8 wins, or if some of these wins would be in his column, because he didn't race every race. He only raced, I think this is only his 14th race, and I mean, that's just a testament to how good he does actually finish, though. He finishes 2nd, 3rd when he does race, and that's allowed him to get in on points.
Yeah, again, absolute testament to how great of a driver he is. I talked about it earlier and how he told me he was adjusting his brake bias between corners, and that was just mind-blowing to me because I didn't know. You can do it from the black box in iRacing, and I didn't know about guys that he literally sets up a hotkey on his steering wheel, and he moves his brake bias between one corner to the other, and that just goes to show you, what kind of preparation he puts in every week, and why he is one of the best here in DRL.
Yeah, I don't even mess with brake bias at all, as it is just an overall thing, and he's doing it between laps. And we got Edward Birch is right on the rear quarter panel of Dustin Musial going into turn 1, and they're going to get into each other. Birch is going to kind of bounce back out.
Oh, and then Birch almost slides right back up into Musial, getting very close to one another. Musial almost touches the wall. Maybe driving a little too aggressive. Right behind him is Carl Dodson in the 73, who is also getting backed up because of this action that's going on between the 22 and the 93. So that's what we were just talking about earlier, Martin. We're 37 in out of 111. Do you really need to be driving the car that hard at this point in the race?
Well, and that's what we were talking about, the aggressiveness, that it's like you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to have a wreck because you're trying to get a past guy. And I understand Birch is trying to get past, he feels he's faster than Musial. But the problem is you got to make the pass then. You've got to make it extremely clean. And you can see Dodson has to hit the brakes really hard because he almost gets in the rear of a
Yeah,
Birch.
squeals the tires, puts a little bit of rubber down on the track there. So Dodson losing a couple positions because of that. And
Birch
Birch just
finally gets
kept
past
poking
Musil.
out to the inside of the 22 there every straightaway, which is going to lose you speed coming down the straight. So he must have just thought he was that much better than the 22, and it was time to make a move.
Well, and at that point, you also see that Musil, and there goes Dodson again, a little hot into the corner. But Musil probably at that point finally gave him the spot. He kind of eased off and said, okay, I'm going to let you have it because otherwise we're going to wreck and bring out another yellow. And
Oh,
so
the 0-2 of Joseph Helt gets a little bit loose there coming out of the corner. Wade Hustad in the number 32. He goes sideways.
yeah, Hunter Johnson just came over.
Hustad took a little bit of damage, so let's go back and look at Wade Hustad here and see exactly what happens to him.
Oh, yeah, he goes right in front of Joseph Helt, hits the wall. Whoa.
Hustad barely tucks up behind the 68 of Thomas Harmon, maybe pulls the wheel a little bit too far to the left in order to stay out of Harmon. Hits the wall 3 times and has to wiggle the car straight. The 32 there takes a little bit of damage, but he is able to stay out of everybody's way somehow, Martin. I don't know how the 32 was able to save that.
Ed Birch almost got collected there.
Absolutely crazy from the 32 of Wade Hustad. Not looking too comfortable in that car tonight.
Yeah, could have been a caution if one of those guys had hit him. Then the yellow would have come out, but everyone was able to avoid him, and so that keeps this race going green.
Yeah, amazing, heads up from all the other drivers on the track there to stay out of the 32. He bounced into the wall a couple times. Don't know if that was intentional. Again, I never got an interview with Hustad after that very first wreck. We're going to get him in at the end of this race, kind of see how his night went and what really caused all those issues from the beginning until now. A lot of race left, though, Martin. He can make it up. Hustad is one of those guys. He's known for doing that. You know what I mean? Coming back and showing stellar performance throughout the race and getting better and better as the race goes on.
Weird. I just saw someone like really slow on the track. I don't know where he went though. Huh. Never mind. Yeah, I saw someone really slow on the backstretch, I thought, but
not sure who that someone might be. Only racers out of the race at this point is Alec Martinez in the 92. Completely disconnected. David Wellborn there, 12 laps down. He's still in the pits collecting those repairs. Matt Kleinschmidt in the 59. We talked to him a bit ago. Thought he disconnected from the session, but he is now only 2 laps behind the leaders. So Kleinschmidt is still running in this race. Idarius Jackson 1 lap down.
That's pretty good that he's actually only 2 laps down because he hit that front end pretty hard. I figured he was going to have a good chunk of repair time.
Yeah, I thought he crunched the front end completely, but it didn't look too damaged after he bounced off that wall. So safer barrier, saving him just a little bit of repairs there. And the 07 of Chris Stouffer, 2.5 or so seconds behind Eric Wolf, our leader. And Anthony Burrows is closing that gap on the 24.
We got a wreck on the front stretch, sounds like. Oh, who was that? I just saw him. Dang it, where'd he go?
Gonna see who starts to drop through the standings here.
And Mitchell Briggs is sideways. Yeah, Mitchell Briggs comes out of the turn 4, catches a little bit of that outside wall, down into the inside wall. Can't correct it, hits the inside wall, back to the outside, and then sideways through. Right in the middle of the track. Whoa, and I think Alexander Russell almost hit him before Briggs hit that escape key.
Yeah, more than one driver almost hit him. Wade Hustad was approaching him very quickly there, not knowing what was going to happen, but Mitchell Briggs does get towed out really quickly, able to stay out of everyone's way there. So good heads-up play there by Mitchell Briggs. Unfortunate what happened to him.
Yeah, this is something I didn't see a lot of in the official races. I didn't see any of these real spin-outs. Everything that was coming out in the official races were people racing and getting into each other in turn 1 or turn 3. And so far this race, we've had a lot of spin-outs.
Yeah, typically it's the high-speed corners as you enter, and tonight it's just been the exits of turn 3 or turn 4 and turn 2, where the guys kind of just get a little bit loose. Maybe the track's a little warmer tonight than expected, but that could be a good and a bad thing. I mean, the only real one we've had caused by racing, I guess you could call it racing was the David Wellborn one where he just pulled
Oh,
down on the
Wellborn,
track
yeah.
and didn't mean for it to happen. And those guys weren't racing for a spot. It's not like one was trying to put a move on the other. They just tried to occupy the same spot on the track. One guy I want to talk about, Martin, Getty Buckner here, all the way back to the 10th position. He did start in 3rd, and he slowly moved back throughout the night. How do you, I mean, have you seen him hitting walls, or do you think he's just not as comfortable as he should be in this Cup car?
Yeah, I'm not sure because we haven't had, I don't know if tire wear is coming in at all because we haven't really had a long run and haven't had any longer runs here yet. Yeah, I'm not sure what's causing him to fall back, or if like guys like, we're starting to get guys like Chad Presnall and, Chad Presnall, Helt, Harmon. Those guys all started behind him. Johnson as well. All started behind Buckner significantly and now have probably just gotten up to speed and have passed him by. And
we'll see what he can make happen down here on pit road. Eric Wolf pulls into the pits in the first position. Anthony Burrows was right on his heels before this caution flag came out, so see what we were looking at for pit times here. Thomas Harmon with a 14.31, very fast pit stop from him. Eric Wolf 14.53. Looks like Burrows almost beat off there by Eric Johnson, almost half a second faster in his pit stall than Anthony Burrows was. So we'll see if Johnson can take that position away from Burrows. I think Burrows is going to maintain 2nd. Chad Presnall comes away 4th. Thomas Harmon in 5th. Joseph Helt 6th. Chris Stouffer in the 7th position also dropped a few. Mike Springer has dropped a few positions back to 8th. Dustin Musial in 9th.
Quite a bit.
Yeah,
Edward Birch got all the way up to 9th in front of Getty Buckner, and we had seen that battle between him and Musial. Musial's way up there now. Comes back out ahead of Getty Buckner.
Yeah, Getty comes away 10th yet again out of that pit stop.
And Birch falls all the way back, so I don't know what happened to Birch there because he had worked his way up to 9th, and after that battle with Musial we saw, so I don't know if he had some damage or.
I want to take this quick opportunity to get down here and talk to Wade Hustad and find out what happened to him. Wade Hustad, you got a copy, my friend?
Yeah, I sure do.
Hey, earlier in the race, I don't know, I think it was right after that first caution, you came out and pretty deep in the field. What happened there?
Well, I think we tagged the wall, I want to say between 1 and 2, just a little bit. We had about 20 seconds worth of damage, but it was enough to really slow us down in those straightaways. So underneath that first caution, I decided just to fix it. So really what we're looking at right now is 3 minutes of optional damage. So we're probably done for the day.
So the optional damage caused by that wall exiting a corner, looks like you got loose, tagged it a couple times, and then came to the inside. Is the track a little hotter tonight than we've seen in maybe practice and things like that? Because it seems typically we see accidents and incidents happen as drivers are entering turn 1 and turn 3 while they're racing really hard. And tonight it seems like we've seen a lot of exiting turn 2 and turn 4. What's going on down there?
Yeah, the track's definitely a little greasy tonight. It's just really kind of slip and slide here as we get about 10-15 laps in the tires, which has been kind of tough tonight, but I'm hoping we can get a little bit more of that. I'm going to be cheering on Chad. Hopefully he can get that win.
Yeah, he's moving his way up there. I think he currently sits in the 4th position, if I'm not mistaken. So excellent pit stop by him that last time by. I forget what I was going to ask you now. I had another question for you, and now I already forgot, Wade.
Yeah, can't really do much tonight. I think we're definitely done.
Well, I know you're getting some repairs. I know that aero has a little bit to do with this racetrack, especially down the straightaways, but hopefully you get a couple positions back, and wish you the best of luck going forward, man. Can't wait to watch you in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's where the bread and butter is going to be, is the playoffs. So thanks, guys.
Have a good one, buddy. That was Wade Hustad, and a couple of incidents tonight. He was saying, Martin, again, I knew it had to be something with the track, man. 10-15 laps on the tires, and the car starts to get loose on the exit at 2 and 4, so.
Yeah, now I'm really curious because, again, we are running 2 Chevys out there. You got the Chevy SS. Wade Hustad's running that, and then Eric Wolf is running the Chevy Camaro, the new Camaro. And I'm wondering if the setups are any different, or if that's going to become an issue going forward here.
You know, you would think with a game, the only thing that's going to change is the display model between the different cars.
Yeah,
Obviously, I know they
I'm
change
not
up
sure.
engine noise and sounds a little bit from
Well,
inside the cockpit of the car, but
what I'm wondering is, but I think I feel like they do make fixed setups for cars that aren't part of the official races still, because when you drive them in, the Carb Cup and stuff like that, you do have the fixed setups. So I would think they update 'em. Maybe they don't update those as much if on the free cars, which now the SS is now a free car. So maybe right now there's still the setups are still the same, but maybe next year, next update, next season,
yeah,
things
that'll
will start
force all the
changing. I don't know,
guys who
but
bought that SS more than 2 years ago to upgrade to the Camaro in order to continue running the Chevrolet. But I imagine why the officials still allow the SS to be ran, that the setups are going to be the same between the two cars.
yeah, I think they're going to be the same. I think they shouldn't switch it over immediately. Just let guys kind of gradually get into it, because otherwise you're going to see a good drop off from a few guys who are going to be like, well, I can't afford to get another car right now.
Yeah, I mean, you think
And
the
not
only
getting
guys
that-
that are really angry about it, right? Anybody who's in Class A either owns the Chevrolet, they own the Camry, right, or they own the Ford Fusion. That's period. They own one of those three cars. So either they're gonna get the Camaro for free and start running it because they just like the look of it more. They're gonna stick with the SS because they like the look of it more. Or the only guys that aren't going to get that Camaro and start running it are the guys who bought it more than 2 years ago and they didn't get the new car for free, and they're going to wait until they're forced to buy a new vehicle in order to run an A-Class. So right now I would imagine all these setups are going to be exactly the same. Eric Johnson down to the inside of the 62 here of Anthony Burrows. Yep. Oh, that's not Anthony Burrows. That's the 55 of Presnall. So Presnall on the move, trying to get around the 21 of Johnson. I didn't even notice Burrows up there right on the tail of Eric Wolf.
Burrows has that patriotic scheme going.
Yeah, those guys get a huge lead on the rest of the pack here. Eric Johnson's now dropped 2 positions, kind of getting ran around by these guys on the outside, which you don't typically see here at Indianapolis, but Thomas Harmon's still running strong on the outside of the 21. Joseph Helt gets around him behind the 55 at Chad Presnall. And it looks like Eric Johnson is getting his bearings about him now. Thomas Harmon with a better run off of that corner, able to have a little bit faster straightaway speed on the first half of that back straight. Eric Johnson should.
Whoa,
the 22 with Dustin Musial.
And Chris
that's
James
the first
sideways
big
collect
wreck of the race tonight.
Yeah, that's the one that's going to collect people. Dustin Musial. I don't know what caused Dustin Musial to go around, so I'm going to look back here.
We're going to go back and watch it all at the same time here, Martin.
Yep. Well, this is exactly what we were talking about. This is the wreck that we were thinking of. This is the more typical wreck. Chris James gets into Dustin Musial and turns him sideways. That collects Izenga, John Theodore, Jim Westerfield gets a little bit.
Yeah, we see the 82 there. Chris James comes up fast, a little bit late on his braking point there, right into the back of the 22, and it collects multiple cars. Not as bad as it could have been, Martin. We don't have anybody missing bumpers or anything like that, but the 82 just pushing the car a little bit too hard there.
Yeah, the two guys that got collected, in addition to Musial and James, are Ben Izenga and John Theodore. Jim Westerfield got a little bit of damage, but I think it's just a little bit of a door with John Theodore and keeps going.
So an update for everybody else out there. Wade Hustad, the number 32, has disconnected from the session. He is all set for tonight, probably likely to spot for the 55 of Chad Presnall. Matt Kleinschmidt, the number 59, who we spoke with earlier, it's showing him out of the session for me right now. I'm not sure if he's actually left yet or not. It shows him as only 1 lap down at the current time.
Yeah, I don't have him out there anymore either, so I don't know why he backed out. I mean, he would have been the lucky dog.
Yeah, he would have. Maybe he got collected there in that one yet again. But...
I didn't see him. Yeah. Oh, he lost a connection.
Oh, okay, so just got disconnected from the service there. The 22 of Musial's going to come down pit road and start to get some of those repairs.
I don't think we're going to have a lucky dog then. So no lucky dog.
No, everybody else is on the lead lap. So 22 cars on the lead lap. We'll see if Dustin Musial is able to get those repairs quickly and get back out onto the track before these lead cars come around. But Chris James still out there running, and we're going to go down and get a quick interview with Chris James and see how he feels about what just happened. I might need a little bit of help. I don't see Chris James anywhere, Martin.
Yeah, let me see. Chris James. Yeah, he might have just gotten. Oh, there he is. He's in Dysfunctional Patriots.
All right, there he is. Chris James, you got a copy, sir?
I do.
Hey man, moved into that corner a little bit hot. Was he braking earlier, or were you just braking too late?
I flat out overdrove that corner. I'm going to apologize to Dustin after the race. I just drove it in too hot. I was able to control it with that kind of entry and in practice if I had to try to get around someone, but the rear end just came right around on me. So that's all me.
We see you still out on the track riding around with the other cars there coming down pit road, but how much repairs you got? What are we looking at for a return to the race here?
We're looking at a minute repairs. So
You'll be able to get back out there and turn some laps, man. Hopefully better luck moving forward.
Yes, sir. That's what we hope. No more of those.
Yeah, it never feels good to do that to another driver, but stuff happens.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I caused something all season. So I'm owed one, right? That's my one. My one mulligan.
That's your mulligan for the season, man. Best of luck for the rest of the night. Get back out there and show us what you got, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah, you could tell he overdrove the corner there, Martin. Just missed a braking point. You know, you start to think, if you're the guy in the rear of that, you really start to, think about what do you got to do to catch up to the guy in front of you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it looks like that's all he was concentrated on. Didn't think about, when he should get into that braking, and just missed his braking point. That's all.
Yeah, and that's. I think turn 1's the trickier one. Turn 3 got a little bit more room. Turn 1, it gets pretty hairy down there.
I mean, I just talked about braking points. A lot of these, the viewers, they just watch the cars on the track. They're not really paying much attention to the surroundings. Obviously, you know what I mean by braking points. But what are these guys using to know when to brake? Is it just a feel thing, Martin? I mean, this is a huge racetrack.
Yeah, for me, in my experiences, yeah, it's just a feel. There's not really any marker that I can think of.
You can't expect the guy in the red shirt to stand where he's standing the whole race, right? There are a few markers on the insides of the tracks that kind of give you a little countdown.
I'm sure, yeah.
Or whatever. They tell you, and you can kind of use visual cues like the sponsors.
I'm sure some of these guys, have a visual cue or two. For me, yeah, it's basically feel. I know where, and I'm sure I'm cueing on something visually, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. What I'm looking at, it's probably, I mean, it could even just be, it could be somewhere on the track. You could just see there's like a seam or where you could start seeing like there's more tire or more rubber laid down, right where that little groove is, and you go, okay, right here is where I start braking and turning and getting down that white line. And whereas Pocono, you have those cones hanging out there, and that's where you can count. And they do have, there's some numbers here going into turn 3, but I think it's a lot of feel. And for me, I look at I'm really looking right at the track, at the groove, and that's where I kind of, make my decision.
We get a big development here prior to this restart. Eric Wolf in the first position, still comes out of the pits in first, but Chad Presnall's moved into second, Thomas Harmon third, Christopher in fourth, and Carl Dodson in the number 73 in the fifth position. Anthony Burrows. Martin, you want to go back and give us an idea what happened to Burrows there on pit road? Something drastic had to happen to the 62.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that. I'm also looking at Chad Presnall. Well, Chad Presnall only went from a 10th to second. I was going to say, it's like he did that, pulled that going from the back of the field thing again, but...
I'm not quite pulling a Caden Honeycutt here tonight so far, but it looks like Matt Kleinschmidt has reconnected to the server. The number 59 is down there on pit road. He's 3 laps down now, so after
what happened with
he is back.
Oh, yeah, all that happened to Burrows is that he went down pit road and pitted, and those guys in front of him did not. So all those guys ahead of him stayed out.
So did Eric Wolf stay out?
Yes, he did. I think he did.
Okay, now I gotcha. So Eric Wolf stayed out. Burrows decided to pull down, and everybody but 4 drivers follow Burrows. So Chad Presnall, Thomas Harmon, Christopher, Carl Dodson, and the number 24 of Eric Wolf all have 8 laps on their tires. Anthony Burrows on back did just get a pit this caution, so That's a huge boon for the 62 of Burrows. He's the first car on these fresh tires and running behind the 73 of Carl Dodson, one of our more, I don't want to say he's inexperienced, but one of the less experienced drivers here in the Cup Series with the Dynasty Racing League. Very new driver to DRL, so we'll see how he handles things with the 62 in his rearview mirror. I can tell you right now, Martin, when you see that 62 behind you, it's not one of those moments where you just go, oh, just another guy, no big deal. You really, you almost change your driving when you see that car coming up behind you.
Yeah. But he's a respectful driver. He's not going to push you out of the way. So you have that going for you.
Well, you do, but again, you let things get to you mentally. The guy behind you is an established driver here in the Dynasty Racing League, the most winningest driver of the DRL to date. So luckily, the 73 is going to start on the inside of him, and Burrows is known for getting a nice quick restart. So we'll see if Burrows is able to take him quick and see if Dotson's able to hold position.
Wolf takes off, but Chad Bresnell right with him. So that was a good restart by everyone.
Great restart there by the 55. Harmon right behind him. The 73 of Dodson, awesome restart in his part, getting down to the inside of the 07 of Chris Stouffer. So,
oh, Chad Bresnell just got in front of a Thomas Harmon going to that turn. Almost got clipped. And Harmon is, oh man, he is right on that rear quarter panel.
Yeah, he's really pushing the 55 of Presnall here, forcing Presnall to take that outside line and trying to claim the second spot. The 24 of Eric Wolf coming up on the rear of the 22 of Dustin Musial, who was involved in that last incident.
And Harmon's
able to make the pass, yeah.
And Carl Dodson is going to move into fourth, and we got another caution.
You got another caution here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, it looks like
Speedway.
Alexander Russell just missed his braking point going to 3, went hot up into the wall, comes down, collects, hits Jackson. And yeah, Jackson gets a little rough, hits the wall. Not a ton of damage, but definitely roughed up.
Yeah, barely clips the left rear of Sidarius Jackson, forces him up into the wall, and able to stay out of that inside wall as he comes down into the grass and is able to get the car straightened out again. So 39 and the 71 with a little bit more damage. Both are still on the lead lap. Hopefully they can get their repairs and stay back out there in the lead. We are going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll see you guys back in just a minute for some more awesome action here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And we are back here, DRL TV. Nice pit stop by a lot of these drivers, Martin. We got Eric Wolf come off in first, Thomas Harmon, Eric Wolf, Thomas Harmon, Chad Presnall, the 73 of Carl Dodson, and the 07 of Christopher all stayed out. Looks like we only had a few pits from 16th on back. Hunter Johnson in the 16th position, John Mullins in 17th, and the number 64, Jim Westerfield 18th, Alexander Russell in 19th, and Sidarius Jackson in 20th. All of those guys did come down and collect a pit stop there, so everybody else did remain on the track. So Eric Wolf is going to be our leader as we come to green here in just a couple minutes. Long way around this track, 2.5 miles. I think pace speed here tonight, Martin. Do you know what pace speed is here tonight?
75 miles per hour.
75. So even 75, I mean 2.5 miles, you know, you're looking at a couple minutes each lap around this track under pace speed. So these guys are not yet doubling up. Still have a couple minutes before we're going to go green here tonight. That gives us an opportunity to get an interview. Who do we want to chat with, Martin? I think we're going to go down and grab Eric Wolf and see how he's feeling from the first position so far this evening. Eric Wolf, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hey, this is Ryan and Martin up in the booth, running in the first position. You've been up there all night, man. How are things feeling in that beautiful, beautiful Jeff Gordon number 24 DuPont Chevrolet?
It is a beautiful car, isn't it? Things are feeling pretty good for me. I've been in this position before, though, so this race is far from over. I got to really stay disciplined, not make mistakes if I'm going to win this. Burrows will be coming from 6th. He's been quick all day. He's as quick as me in the long run. Track position will be vital.
Yeah, he was starting to catch, I think, two cautions ago, right before that caution came out. He was getting right up to your bumper. So halfway through, man, you got a long ways to go, but you seem to be doing very well so far. I know you've had a couple of these races, quote unquote, stolen from you this season. I hope you can finish this one out, man. Best of luck.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm going to try.
What channel were you in, Eric?
Put me back with Dysfunctional Patriots.
Yes, sir. So a lot of guys down there in the Dysfunctional Patriots team channel. You got Carl Dodson, Eric Wolf, Chris James, Getty Buckner, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who does broadcast with us on Wednesday nights. So
Saw Garrett Maines in there for a while. I used to play is in there, but he's sit down
yeah,
with
he's
Garrett
all
Maines,
muted up. Garrett Maines, I think he raced 1 or 2 races with us so far this season. But
Winter Series.
Yeah, definitely there to support some of the other guys in the Dysfunctional Patriots team. So that all, I think, was all set up by Tater Bowman. He is one of the owners of the league here in DRL. He's our race control for this evening. So shout out to Tater Bowman. Thank you for all that you do for the league. Eric Wolf feeling pretty confident up there in first, but as he said, race is far from over, and he knows Burrows is quick.
Yeah, you never know what can happen either. I mean, it's just, bad luck, but yeah, some of these guys, I wonder what they're really feeling, if they're really concerned.
Pace car pulls down pit lane.
Chad Presnell right on his bumper.
Taking it very easy yet again. Thomas Harmon staying right with the 24 of Eric Wolf, but Wolf able to draw that starting line out and get away to another fast jump. The 55 of Presnall trying to get around the 68 here of Thomas Harmon as he goes to the inside. The 07 of Christopher down to the inside there of Dodson. Isn't that what I said? The 55 of Presnall?
No, I was just saying.
And we have another car
doing a lot of work
towards the end of the field there, down towards that inside fence. But it looks like he's able to get straightened out. If you can give us an update and let me know who that was, Martin.
Yeah, it looks like Musel got rear-ended by a Hunter Johnson coming out of turn 2, and he goes into the wall.
Dustin Musel, we know he took a little bit of damage earlier, was out there still
Oh.
running fairly well in the 22nd position in the number 22, 3 laps down. So
Yeah, he was all the way up. I think his high, he got up to 10th or somewhere up there, top 10 at one point, and run into a spat of bad luck here now.
bound to happen. We've said it before. Cautions breed cautions. These guys tend to get a little impatient under restarts, and you can imagine why. I mean, who wants to spin around this track at 75 miles per hour when it's meant to be driven at 200 miles per hour? So these front 3 drivers evened out into single file racing, but just behind them is a huge pack of cars, all too wide.
Yeah, that it's not the end of the world for Musel because he is in the playoffs, but you want to keep that momentum going. You want to have a good race before you get in the playoffs, and you're gonna have to come back next week at Las Vegas and have a good running because that's when the points start mattering again, really.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of these drivers are going to show up for these points races. I know it's a little bit demotivating for some of the guys, right? If you didn't make it into the playoffs and you're a points driver, do you still want to show up every week? But I think we have a lot of passion here in the Dynasty Racing League, and these guys are still going to show up week in and week out and create some large fields here for all of our viewers to enjoy every week.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see. I mean, this week we're missing Joshua Wakefield, David Wright, and Jonathan Schwartz. Those are all playoff drivers, and hopefully they don't miss too many races in the playoffs. Otherwise, their playoff run will be pretty short.
Speaking of Jonathan Schwartz, I think we need to get a look at him and see. I don't know when the last time I remember seeing Jonathan Schwartz here in one of these Cup Series races. So possibly getting bumped out as we head into these playoffs and allowing another driver to participate. But we will have to monitor that going forward and see if he's allowed in. We might have, who do we got in the point standings here? We got Sam Niederhelms at 17th and Helt in 18th right now. So maybe one of those 2 drivers able to sneak in and claim that spot if Schwartz is unable to make these playoffs. He does have 3 wins already here in the DRL, so see if he's able to get into them. Joshua Wakefield has been participating since he joined the league. He is a rookie here, there in the 35. You guys see him sitting 13th, 168 points back. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the only one really in question for me would be the 58 of Jonathan Schwartz. And the 93 goes sideways. Big wreck on the front stretch. Go down and see what happened to the 93 here of Edward Birch. Right up to the back of the 03 of Getty Buckner. Gives the 03 a little bit of a shove. Gets him into the wall just barely. And that shoves the 93 down to the inside wall. And he gets absolutely plowed by the 82 there, Chris James. So that's Chris James just getting the short end of the stick here tonight. And again, I think that was the 03 of Getty Buckner that he initially contacted. So Getty taking a little bit of damage, has fallen back throughout the night and now involved in a pretty serious incident. As he runs behind the number 12 of Mike Springer in the 9th position. Carl Dodson losing a few positions during that last green flag run. He sits 7th currently in the number 73. Joseph Helt runs 6th. Anthony Burrows in 5th. Chad Presnall in the 4th position. Chris Stouffer in 3rd. Thomas Harmon 2nd. And our leader still, Eric Wolf in the number 24. These guys come down to take another pit stop. So the front 5 or 6 drivers here able to get some tires this time around, Martin.
Yeah, eventually you want to come down and get tires, even though I haven't done a ton of hard racing, any really long runs, but they've been staying out probably last 3 cautions, so good as time as any to get some fresh ones.
We're going to see a few drivers stay out. First of those is the 59 of Matt Kleinschmidt. So looks like he might get the lucky dog here, so Kleinschmidt finally able to get back in the lead lap after having those issues earlier, disconnections and things like that. So Would be
Oh, and
good to
Thomas
see
Harmon
him
beats
back on the lead
Eric
lap.
Wolf off of pit road.
Great job on Harmon's part with a nice fast pit stop, 14.6 compared to Eric Wolf's 15.37. Let's go grab Eric Wolf and see what happened to him down there on pit road. Eric Wolf, you got a copy, man?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, probably weren't expecting me to pull you in again there. What happened down there on pit road? Were you slow getting in the box, or was the pit crew just a little slow there?
I was definitely apprehensive going in. I just don't want to ruin this race and lose it on pit road. I mean, I might do it anyhow, but I'm not going to, lose 10 spots like I did last night.
Hey, I don't blame you, man. You're fast once those cars get up to speed, so hopefully you can get it back.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Just got to be patient.
Well, that was Eric Wolf. That was crazy, Martin. I don't know. Thomas Harmon with an absolutely blazing pit stop. Wolf being a little bit too cautious down there on pit road. So
Yeah, it was just a little bit cautious. You don't want to slide through your pit stall and lose it that way. So he lost one position. I think if he slid through the pit stall, he probably lost 2, 3, or 4 or 5 positions.
So Kleinschmidt actually did not get a lucky dog there, maybe getting a touch of damage or something like that, but he did get the wave around earlier, so he's only 1 lap down now instead of 2. I want to go down and chat with Getty Buckner and see how he's feeling now as this race is dragged on. He's in 18th position, took some damage there after getting hit, so he actually touched the wall and caused that last incident. Getty Buckner, you got a copy, sir?
I do, sir. How are you?
Well, probably a little better than you're doing at the moment as you come back down pit road. Bounced off the wall just a hair. You had started the fall throughout the night. What's going on down there?
Well, part of it was there's a lot of aggressive driving out here, and that's just not my style. There was one restart where I let Chad Presnall by because he's a fast driver. Just kind of let him do his thing. Kind of got freight trained, similar to that something you'd see at Talladega. I lost 4 or 5 spots, and then right now, earlier in the race we had that little bit of a long run. It was playing into my hands. I'm not a short run driver. I'm not aggressive enough, and kind of just with the cautions every 5, 6, 7 laps. It's just not playing in my hands right now, and now my race is over. But we'll see what I can do.
So what do you, how much damage do you got down there? You think you'll be able to fight for position here as we move forward, or?
I mean, yeah. As soon as the 93 got me, I thought I could. I tried to blip the throttle for a second. It didn't work, obviously, and bounced off the wall, bounced into him. I had 2 minutes of optional, so I with how aerodynamic sensitive this track's going to be, I can't imagine I'm going to be too competitive, but I'll see what I got here. And if not, guys, it's been an awesome broadcast. I appreciate the opportunity of you guys letting me, put my team name out there and help celebrate Patriots Day the way it should be, just racing.
That's right. We all love racing, man. Again, thank you and SGK for all you guys do, and thanks for supporting the Dynasty Racing League. It's been a pleasure. I hope you can get a few of those positions back. There's not a lot of cars out there that aren't beat up tonight, so I don't think you're at too much of a disadvantage aero-wise. We wish you the best of luck, Getty.
Yeah. Just real quick, again, a shout out to Andrew Short, my teammate. Hell of a guy.
Have a great night.
Yep.
And that was Getty Buckner. Obviously, very excited for this race, Martin, and the sponsorship, and him celebrating how long him and Andrew Short have been racing together. So,
hey, teammates, they get along, right?
Yeah, right. It's a miracle. Some of the guys, what is it? We have S2R. Some of those guys are just so similar drivers to one another. They seem to compete every week, and they get along, yes. But we always see them, tapping each other and shoving each other out of the way. And I don't get to watch a lot of Getty and Andrew driving together because
I think most of the teammates in iRacing are pretty because it's a very voluntary thing. It's like you choose to be on that team, whereas I think in NASCAR you get the big one I'm thinking of is like Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch. How they kind of give each other the business.
They do. I mean, that stuff is going to happen, and you can't blame
But,
them.
you
I mean,
know-
we see somebody like Chad Presnall and Wade Hustad race against one another, and they give it absolutely every bit of energy they've got out there driving the car. So, big story of the night, the 68 of Thomas Harmon, moving from the 15th position all the way to first. He is in the lead now, but Eric Wolf, again, he said he was just being cautious on that last one. Is a little, hesitant as far as racing against Anthony Burrows here. He says Anthony might be a little better or just as good as him on the long run. So we'll see if he's able to get around Harmon and then keep the 62 of Burrows behind him. Harmon gets out to a great jump, leading already by a quarter of a second. And now that Harmon has some fresh air, we'll really get a chance to see what he's able to do up here.
Mike Springer working his way past Chad Presnall. But otherwise, pretty much single file up in the top 10.
And what happened to Presnall under that last pit stop? He's back to the 9th position now. Just in front of the 89 there, John Theodore, who runs 10th. Sticking on the outside of the 12 of Mike Springer. And Springer gets the pass. So Thomas Harmon looking pretty good out there with some clean air, running away from the 24 of Eric Wolf.
Yeah, it looked like Presnell just had a little bit of a hiccup getting into his pit stall. Basically what Eric Wolf was saying he wanted to avoid, and so he gave up that one position. And
at least he didn't give up 5 or 6 like the 55.
That's exactly
right? That's
what I think
Wolf was avoiding. We got Mr. Avril Lavigne out here in the 68. Did very well in last night's race, and I think who was it? His teammate Ryan Hesgard in the 02 last night in the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters Grand National Series. Hesgard ended up taking that. I think Harmon might have finished 4th. He's out here leading the field right now, but the 24 of Eric Wolf nipping at his heels. Looks like he's going to try to dive him on the inside. Maybe not. Again, Wolf being very patient, 68 laps in out of 111. Doesn't want to try to push it too hard. Taking a much higher line through that last corner, and that allows the 62 of Burrows to get right back up to him.
He's got a little bit of front end damage there on his, you see that the splitter is kind of raised up a little bit. Or maybe not. Maybe that was just a glitch on my part.
I was going to say, I'm now looking at the front ends of
now
the
it's not there.
68 and the 24, and Harmon, after letting the 24 of
gets
Eric
past
Wolf
Harmon
pass,
easily there, and Burrows is going to get past easily.
again,
I
this
don't
is
know what
what
happened to
Getty
Harmon.
Buckner was just talking about. The guys just kind of tend to, go train action right around you. There's not much you can do to avoid it if you get stuck on that outside line, and all the other drivers are of similar skill.
Well, yeah, if you miss your braking point or getting on the gas at the right point, I mean, that other guy, it's just it's so much more speed. Really is a finesse track, and you can't really pull down and block anyone because those other guys are going 5-10 miles per hour faster. They got the momentum, and you're just going to cause a wreck. And so Harmon drops back to 4th. Wolf, Burrows, and Stouffer, 1, 2, 3.
Harmon is nipping at the heels of the 07 here. Once he's able to get back and run that comfortable line like he was able to run before, hopefully he can get that position back. But I know he is not happy after being out there in the lead, gaining that position on pit road. Very great pit stop by him last time by. He can't be satisfied with 4th right now, Mark.
Well, he's another one of these guys. I mean, he's looking for playoff points because he's locked in, but an extra 3 points in the playoffs is not going to hurt him.
And I don't know if we give away awards or anything like that, but as far as improvement year over year, the 68 of Harmon, I feel like is almost unmatched at this point. He was kind of one of those guys last season, middle of the road driver. You would never expect him to finish last, but you wouldn't expect him to finish first, or typically ended up in that somewhere 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. He was about a top 10 driver is what he was.
Yeah, he had some tough luck last year, and I think there was some frustration. And basically, he kind of backed out. He just had a frustrating run of races in the middle of that season last year, and then
He comes back this
decided,
year,
hey, I'm going to give it another
absolutely a
shot.
different
And
driver.
yeah, it's just he collected that win. Where was that first win? Can't remember where he got that first win now.
I want to say it was at Texas, but
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I know he won Talladega, but I think that was in another league where he won Talladega.
I'm going to go tell you right now. Thomas Harmon got his first win at Texas, the Texas 250. Yep. That was the 7th race of the Dynasty Racing League season. I think he joined us. That might have been his first race back. So he did join us on race 7 out of this season, and comes back and captures that win on his first race back. Able to sneak past, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Anthony Burrows who was our pole sitter for that race. No, Eric Wolf was our pole sitter for that race. But Burrows and someone else got into each other on the last lap of that race. Thomas Harmon able to sneak around him and capture that victory. So that was surprising for the 68. We had a short interview with him just after that race and the next week, and said, what did you do to prepare, et cetera, et cetera? What did you change from last season? Awesome to come out here and see you race so well. And he said, I haven't really changed a lot of stuff. I feel like maybe luck is just a little bit better in the car this year, and I'm coming out here and giving it all I've got. And so far in that Avril 68, he's done much more than expected.
That's sometimes what it is, and sometimes a guy he's already a good racer. It's just if you get wrecked out or you catch some bad luck, you keep finishing 20th, and no one really realizes that you're actually a good driver. It's just you're not been able to actually race.
Another one of those guys. Last season, I know we only had one series here with DRL, but Thomas Harmon's teammate, the 02 of Ryan Hesgard, I think he has the most wins in the Grand National Series. He did come in first last night here at Indianapolis, and he's running away with that championship right now as those guys head into the playoffs as well. And he was similar to Thomas Harmon last year, one of those middle-of-the-road drivers, gave up on the Dynasty Racing League about halfway through the season, and he's come back this year to absolutely prove himself. And that's good to see some of the guys sticking around and just giving it all they've got week in and week out. And it's fun to watch them improve over time, Martin. It really is.
I'm looking forward. I mean, obviously the playoffs, but then we'll go into the Winter Series, and then we'll have a fresh new season, Season 3. At least for the Cup Series, will be Season 3, and then the other two series will be in their second seasons. And a number of guys all these guys who are rookies right now will now be, I mean, at this point, they're really not rookies anymore. We've seen them race it week in, week out. But, some of these newer guys that joined a little bit later in the season, and Joseph Helt, who's got 2 wins, he's going to be playoff eligible. And Eli Hinton, and there's a number of guys that have joined a little bit later and are not going to be in the playoffs, but are definitely going to be playoff drivers next year. That's going to be fun to watch. The competition just gets stiffer and stiffer.
Yeah, the competition has definitely stepped up a little bit here. I talked about how good the 68 of Hesgard, or the 68 of Harmon and the 02 of Hesgard have gotten so far this year, but everybody else, we've got a lot of good new drivers into the league. You know what I mean? There's just the level of talent, people who weren't here last year. If we go through the current point standings right now, the only guys that were really active last season in this top 16, David Wellborn in the 16th position. You have David Wright in the 15th position. Eric Wolf in 12th. Chris James, I think, was here last season.
No,
Thomas
Chris
Harmon.
James wasn't. Aaron James was.
Thomas Harmon in the 68. He was here for some of the season. And Anthony Burrows up there in first. All of the other drivers in the top 16 are new drivers here to the Dynasty Racing League. So anybody here who is watching the DRL or watching this broadcast tonight is interested in joining the Dynasty Racing League, any of the drivers that might want in and want to be a part of this, the competition's definitely stepped up. If you look at our top 12 drivers, not a single one of them is below 2,500 I rating in iRacing. So there's a lot to be said for that. I think last season the skill gap, went anywhere from 700 to Again, we had the couple outliers, which was Eric Wolf and Anthony Burrows last season up in the 4,000 and 5,000s. But other than that, everybody fell right in that 1,500 to 2,000 range. And this year, it's been an absolute step up in the competition, and it's been a pleasure to watch these guys race against each other week in and week out.
And there's so much more racing this season too, because we have obviously the full schedule for the Cup, but we also have 2 other series where guys can, drive, and Cup guys come down. And Wade Hustad, I don't know how many races Wade Hustad has for wins this season in DRL, but collecting wins in a ton of wins in the trucks, and a ton of wins in Grand National as well. Burrows and Wolf don't do a ton of going down to those other series, but
yeah, if you talk about wins overall, Hustad is in a class of his own, but
he's running more races though. I still, you look at the guy who Anthony Burrows is still out there and still head and shoulders winning a lot of races up here in the Cup Series.
Yeah, again, unreal for a driver of his age, the 62 of Anthony Burrows, who again, Wolf talked about him earlier and how on the long runs he's just as good, and we see Burrows catching up to the rear of him. Only 16 years old now, and Burrows just every week. I mean, we talked about it, a couple weeks ago. I think we were 19 races in, and he had finished top 5 in all 19 races here. And with the level of competition that I just spoke about, it's stunning to watch him come out here and produce the results week in and week out for 19 weeks in a row. It's just mind-blowing to me. I don't know how it's done. I really don't. I've been in one of those cars. I know how they drive, and I know an accident's bound to happen at some point or another, and he just has a way of not letting it happen. So up to the rear bumper here of the 24. This is going to be a lot of the action as the night moves forward. The 62 of Burrows, if he can get around the 24 here of Eric Wolf, Wolf might be in trouble, because he did admit that Burrows feels a little quicker than him on these longer runs. That Gordon paint scheme on the 24, looking for maybe another caution flag to come out. John Theodore, Jim Westerfield, both come down and take pit stops. So I don't know if those guys are going for a little bit of a different pit strategy. We are on lap 79 out of 111. They can make it the rest of the way here. So maybe getting some fresh tires, getting back out there onto the track, and hoping that this thing goes green for a while, Martin. We're finally starting to see some pit strategy taking effect here at Indianapolis.
You think they can make it on fuel?
Yeah, fuel run typically here is about 33 to 34 laps. We have about 31 to 32 to go. So those guys pushing the fuel limit, don't get me wrong, as you see the Corey Busch Ford 89 there.
Oh, okay, the guys that just pit. Okay, I see what you're saying. The guys that just pit, yeah.
Yes, sir. They are getting that pit stop very, very early, and I assume that's all they can be doing, right, is hoping for this thing to go long. We do see a little bit of damage there on the 89, but as I said earlier, I don't think the arrow is too huge of an effect, and so long as the 89 can get back in front of the 24, even if a caution comes out, guess what? John Theodore's our new leader.
Well, and turn off that engine when under the pace laps, under the caution laps, and save that fuel.
And it's unfortunate for him. If enough drivers were to take that early pit stop and were able to get back in front of Eric Wolf like the 89 of Theodore just did, they'd be able to put kind of a gap on him, right? So they'd be racing on older tires coming off of that restart, and it would put a gap between them. It would allow them some cushion, not let the other cars around them. But Theodore is in a class of his own out there. He's running all by himself, the earliest car to come in and take that pit stop. So we'll see how that plays out as this race goes on. It might help him, Martin. Definitely seen some weird pit strategies. I think Theodore's first race in the season here, I don't remember which race it was, he ended up taking 3 pit stops where most of the guys on the track, the whole race went green. Most of the guys on the track only took 2 pit stops, and it came back to bite Theodore towards the end of the race as some of the quicker drivers were able to make up that time difference on only 2 pits. But or maybe it was vice versa. Maybe Theodore waited out and only did 2 pit stops. All the other guys took 3, and they ended up coming back and making that time up. But he is definitely one of the guys who likes to play with the pit stops and try to use pit strategy to gain an advantage. And he has pulled away heads and tails over the 24 of Eric Wolf. So definitely gaining time on the 24 already. We'll see how long these guys are going to wait before they decide to pit. You have the 04 or the number 4 there doing the same thing. Jim Westerfield trying to make his way around the 62 of Burrows. That tells you a lot, Martin. You've got Jim Westerfield is only on 3-lap old tires. You've got Anthony Burrows in the 62 running on 20-lap old tires. And it's taken the 4 a long time to get around him here. The 4 also gets around 24 of Eric Wolf, so Wolf and Burrows, these tires are showing rearing their ugly heads, showing how old they really are here as these guys continue to run laps around the track. Maybe just hoping for a caution to come out. The longer they do wait, the worse things are going to get for them, as the 2 cars that pit already are going to continue to gain time. So one more pit stop is going to be required by these guys. Carl Dodson in the number 73, he comes down pit road, so he's going to go ahead and take his pit stop now. And things are all single filing out with the exception of a couple battles here and there, one of which is the 21 here and the 68, Eric Johnson and Thomas Harmon.
Yeah, and Mike Springer and Fresno Wright getting in on that too.
Yeah, all of these drivers very close to one another have been all night, but Martin, I really like the pit strategy. If this thing goes green and if these leaders continue to stay out as long as they have, I feel like Carl Dodson right now is in a great position, but the 89 of John Theodore and the number 4 of Jim Westerfield stand a really good chance of coming back to claim victory here tonight. That early pit stop was genius. This thing goes green the rest of the way. Tire fall off. So to explain to the viewers how this thing happens, right? The tire fall off really starts to happen around 15 to 20 laps on the tires. And then you get a huge amount of time fall off because of how technical of a track Indianapolis Motor Speedway is. So again, I said earlier in the broadcast, you got to dive into that corner, make the apex nice and sharp, and then coast up into the wall on your way out. Well, from 15 to 20 laps, wherever that fall off really starts to happen, and on, it doesn't get much worse than that. So lap times tend to plateau once you get older on the tires. And John Theodore and the 4 of Jim Westerfield made that plateau never occur. They never hit the plateau by pitting as early as they did. And now, if these guys wait too long to pit, they're gaining a ton of time right now. So towards the end of the race, all of these other guys will also be plateauing, and the 4 of Westerfield and the 89 of Theodore will already be there. So it won't really make too much difference in late race lap times as compared to the current lap times where these guys are gaining precious seconds every lap. Question is, how late does Wolf and Burrows, how late do they wait to pit? Because if they wait until about 10 to 15 to go and then decide to pit, they might be able to get that time back towards the closing laps of the race. So it looks like things all evened out here. Thomas Harmon is sitting pretty in 4th and starting to get away from the 12 of Mike Springer, but the 55 of Chad Presnall still nipping at his heels as he takes that outside line. Not going to be able to get around Springer that way, as the inside line is definitely preferred around these sharp corners. And we are green flag racing here, lap 87 out of 111 with DRL TV at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is the Molnar Automotive Cup Series. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Thank you again to all of our viewers tonight for the Patriot 111. It's been an absolute pleasure honoring all of our firefighters and police department and all of those that gave their lives to save others on 9/11 of 2001 when that tragic event happened. at the World Trade Centers in New York City. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be back with more live action here in just a minute. And we're back here after a few of these guys came down and took those green flag pit stops. Eric Wolf did end up coming out in first position. Anthony Burrows still sits second. Chris Stouffer in the third spot. And John Theodore is still sitting in fourth. 11 laps on his tires compared to the 3 laps on Eric Wolf, Burrows, and Stouffer's tires, Martin. Maybe not the right decision by these guys after all.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it really paid off at all. Alexander Russell was staying out there, and he was running second. Then he kind of went sliding through turn 3, or probably turn 2, and hit that inside wall.
Yeah, Russell's staying out for a little bit too long. A lot of laps on his tires there. I think he had 29 when he came down pit road, though. So, Martin, these guys get closer and closer to 30 laps, which, I mean, what do we have now? We have about 20 laps left, so hopefully we don't run into any more of these issues as the race drags on.
Wellborn gets in the way of Eric Wolf there.
Yeah, the 96 almost causing an incident. Anthony Burrows able to get around him safely, and almost disaster for Eric Wolf in the 24, who has had an absolutely outstanding race so far here tonight.
Yeah, and that's where your trouble always runs into. Is you got those lapped cars, and
he did start on our pole.
Keep your eyes open behind you.
He did start on our pole, and if I look, I think I can pull up unofficial results right now. He has led 81 out of these 92 laps, so only Thomas Harmon, who sits second in laps led right now. Eric Wolf dominating the race so far here tonight. Hopefully doesn't give this one up towards the end, but the 62 of Anthony Burrows, as we've seen throughout this race, on these longer green flag runs, he is able to close that gap on the 24. As he's doing right now.
Oh yeah, last year Anthony Burrows won this race. see if he can find something to catch Eric Wolf here.
David Wellborn is in the pits at this point. So he said he would be back this evening. He's 29 laps down. He has about 8 laps to go before he catches the 03 Ageti Buckner as far as laps turned are concerned. So David Wellborn may be able to gain another position and move up into 20th. As of right now, we have 15 cars in the lead lap. The 39 of Alexander Russell, who did get into that accident just a couple minutes ago. Him and Matt Kleinschmidt now go a lap down as these leaders come across the start-finish line. So that leaves only 13 now on the lead lap. But all of the pit stops have happened. Jim Westerfield back into 12th after making that early pit, and John Theodore into the 10th position. So things definitely not paying off for those two, as Hunter Johnson, Presnall, and I think Eric Johnson able to move in front of all 3 of them after the early pit stops.
And Anthony Burrows is up on Wolf's bumper now. I was just looking at past race winners, and the only race we've had in Cup where it's been won, where the same driver has won the race, has been Las Vegas, which we're actually going to be going to next week to start the playoffs. That's Anthony Burrows, has won it both seasons, and he's going to be looking for his 3rd win at Vegas. And he is on the edge of possibly taking the lead from Eric Wolf here and winning Indy again. Yeah, he got a little loose there, and he's going to take it here going in turn 3.
Very close to the wall. Burrows somehow able to stay out of the back of the 24.
Maybe not. Yeah, he's going to get it. He's going to get in turn 3, and Burrows looking to sweep, get his 2nd win at Indianapolis.
Yeah, Wolf looking very slow through that last corner after being forced into that outside line. So when Burrows gets his preferred line, he's definitely quick. 9 laps on the tires now for both of these gentlemen. Burrows actually has a 1-lap lead on him, so 8 laps on Burrows' tires. It looks like Burrows is going to be able to get away from the 24 here after Wolf leading so many laps here tonight. This is what Burrows was waiting on. He was waiting on one of these long green flag runs, Martin. We did have that mid-race caution fest there for a little while, but
yep,
after going green for as long as we have here tonight, Burrows is able to take that position away and starting to put a gap between him and the 24.
Yeah, he's looking to make sure that only his name is on that Indy winner list in DRL.
That's right. He wants to kiss those bricks for the 2nd time, or I guess 3rd time if you count last season. But we have Christopher still in the 07. He sits 3rd, and Joseph Helt is knocking at the door.
Yeah, they only run Indy once a year.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, so this will be his 2nd win if he can hang on here and hold off Eric Wolf. And then we're going to be watching next week for him to get the sweep at Vegas over the first 2 seasons. Because he won last year at Vegas early in the season. He won this year early in the season, and he's going to be looking to start the playoffs on the right foot.
There goes the 02 around the 07 of Christopher. So Helt able to grab that
took a
3rd
while,
position
yeah.
away. And Thomas Harmon passed by. Oh wait, who's that? That passed him. That's the 55 of Matt Kleinschmidt, or the 59 of Matt Kleinschmidt.
Yeah.
So Harmon
Presnell
still runs in the 5th
59
position.
Okay. Yeah, Kleinschmidt running 15th, 2 laps down.
2 laps down currently. So the only person for him to catch at this point is the 39 of Alexander Russell. So Matt Kleinschmidt, after a couple of disappointing disconnections earlier this evening, he is running in 15th. Not a bad finish, Martin, if you consider, all things considered. I mean,
yep.
Some of these guys get into minor incidents. They get absolutely destroyed and can't finish the race at all. He disconnects a couple times, and he's still able to come back and claim a top 15. So Sam Niederhelm here in the number 60. A beautiful paint scheme he's running tonight. We'll see. I don't know. Again, Jonathan Schwartz, we haven't seen him in the last few weeks here at Dynasty Racing. We'll see if he's able to make those playoffs. And Sam Niederhelm might be able to sneak his way in here at the very end of the season and get a chance to compete with these guys for a championship.
Let me see. I think Schwartz might be close on points as well. So I mean, if he misses the participation, he can still be in on points.
This might boot him out of the participation thing, but I guess we'll find out. Even if it boots him out of the participation, I imagine. So the way the league is run, everybody should be contacted. All the playoff drivers. Hey, do you plan to be here for the playoffs? We want to make this as exciting as we can for our viewers. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight and all the past weeks here at DRL TV to all of the races, not just the Molnar Automotive Cup Series, but our Monday night races with the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters and our Wednesday night races with Winona Road, the Truck Series and the Grand National Series. Thank you guys for tuning in to all these races this season and rooting on your favorite driver. I think we will contact and make sure that every driver plans to be here for those playoffs and compete for that playoff position. And if not, we will pass that position on to the next guy. You know, it wouldn't be as exciting if we didn't. So I know one thing we are having here. They're not in the Truck Series. I think the Truck Series just runs the standard. We're just going to run a regular playoffs, right? So there's a point cut off, and then everybody builds on points as you go on. That's all there is to it. Here in the Cup Series, there's going to be cutouts. So a couple races will be ran, and they'll cut the top or the last 4 guys in the top 16. So it'll be down to 12 drivers, and then they'll cut down to 8 drivers, and they'll cut down to 4 drivers, and then we'll have that final race there at Homestead, which will decide our champion for the season. Which, again, if the 24 here of Eric Wolf is able to stick around for these next few races and get into that final cut, I know he is very good at Homestead. And he was able to take away the victory last season here with the DRL. So, but the Truck Series will be a little bit different. Those guys will be running strictly for points once they reset to 0 when the playoffs begin. So, you know how Northeast Ohio Ghostbuster Series is working there, Martin? Or...
Yeah, because, well, it's going to run, just like real life. Real life, it's, after a few races, you get the cut 4 and then cut 4 again, and then you're down the final 4 for the final race. But since Grand National, we're actually running 13 drivers and originally 14 drivers, so 2 more than actual in real life, where they only run 12 for the playoffs. The first cut will be the bottom 5, and then 4, and then final 4 for the end of the season.
Gotcha.
At Homestead.
So 3 different formats here in all 3 of the series. You guys will have to keep an eye on that and see, which one of the drivers you want to be rooting for to take it all. But I can tell you right now, Martin, 2 of the guys that are going to be tough to take it from is the 62 and the 24.
Yeah, I mean, 24's got an uphill battle going into the playoffs, but I think he can. He finishes so well, and the bonus points are a big deal, but it's not a game killer. Burrows he would have a 21 point advantage over Wolf.
Yeah, right now Eric Wolf, I think he's going to claim 3 bonus points.
Oh yeah, he get 3. Yeah, he gets 3. So 21 points. Yep.
Unless he finishes first tonight, barring anything crazy happening these last 8 laps, but Burrows has 24 going into this thing, so...
Or he'll have 24-point advantage if he wins this race, yeah.
Or Burrows will have a 27-point advantage if he wins this race, so definitely some things going to change. Burrows with 8 wins, Eric Wolf with only 1, so... We'll see what happens. I mean... Oh, you're right, 24-point advantage, you said. My bad.
But it all resets, so, those guys... Wolf will be tied with Harmon and Hunter, Johnson with 3... points going in,
and then
starting off right away.
With 6, Schwartz with 9, Hustad with 15, and Burrows, if he wins this race tonight, with 27. So,
yep. So, we're basically set. Barring any changes, I don't think anything will really change. Even if participation-wise, Jonathan Schwartz would still be in on points. So. Then it just determines if we're gonna open up the playoffs to other people. If some people say they're not gonna even show up at all, I don't know.
Well, Joseph
As you were
Helt here
saying, we'll
has
see.
put the gap on the 07 of Chris Stouffer and the 68 of Thomas Harmon.
Yeah, Joseph Helt, he's going to be on the outside looking in, but definitely going to be wearing those. I think he's going to have those playoff colors on his car next season this time of year.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how the points play out here. Helt might sneak in front. Let's pull those standings back up one more
I
time.
don't think he's not going to be able to catch. He's not going to be able to catch
Niederhelm.
well. But he could even, yeah, Niederhelm would be a stretch too, but
Yeah, I was
be the
thinking
outside
it was
looking
a
in.
little closer than it was, but 36 points back of Sam Niederhelm. So again, if one person does get the sneak into these playoffs based on Jonathan Schwartz's absence as of late, it will be Sam Niederhelm. It will not be Joseph Helt even after tonight's race. So Helt definitely on the outside looking in, but two wins so far this year. He has been excellent since he's been here with the Dynasty Racing League, and we can't wait to watch him next season. Currently running third in this race, and as you guys know, Burrows and Eric Wolf first and second. I don't know, Martin. Burrows was able to get around Wolf, but Wolf has kind of maintained that exact same gap that he's had for the last 10+ laps. So we'll see in these waning laps if Wolf is able to close the gap a little bit and maybe make a pass on Anthony Burrows as the race closes. But
Burrow's just wrapping up another stellar regular season.
yeah, definitely nothing new there.
What did he have last year? He had 9 wins overall. Shorter season, but it's already looking at 9 wins for just the regular season, barring anything he does in the playoffs. Yeah, an amazing Cup Series career so far for Anthony Burrows. 39 starts over the past 2 seasons, 38 top 10s, 36 top 5s. To go along with those 17 and looking at 18 wins here.
Yeah, absolutely amazing how he does it week in and week out. I don't know how it
Consistency.
happens, but
Yeah, field really spread out. Well, those top 5 spread out. And then you get to Harmon, Springer, Johnson, and PJ O'Leary, who's a lapped car running along with them. So Springer's looking for a gap so he can move up into 5th place, get a top 5 finish out the season.
yeah, we're gonna get an interview with Mike Springer at the end of this race and see how he feels. I mean, he's one of those guys who sticks around in that top 5 consistently, race in and race out, and just can't seem to come away with a win.
Yeah, him and Johnson, I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs because those are 2 guys that don't have wins but are really close. I think you're definitely going to need wins in the playoffs because that's the points. But if they can run consistently and run up there, they could have a good shot still. Though, with the people ahead of them, Burrows, Hustad, Presnall, and Wolf, it's going to be tough going. But anything can happen. They can get some good luck, and maybe Wolf and Burrows struggle and maybe get caught in a wreck here or there in the playoffs. And you never know. Playoffs going to be exciting.
Yeah, they are. I can't wait.
Actually, Johnson now going to get a pass on Springer here. Whoa, and there goes Springer off into the inside wall. Hard hit, and that's, I think, it might bring out a yellow, and that's going to be end of the race, under yellow.
It is the end of the race tonight. I don't think Eric Wolf had anything for Anthony Burrows as this race came to a close. You never know what would happen during that last lap, but Mike Springer does flip the car around. And
Yeah, Eric Johnson just, they just kind of got in each other. I don't think Eric Johnson came down or anything. It was just they came out of the turn, and Springer came up a little bit, and
yeah, Springer pushing the car just a little too much and jumps up and taps the 21 there, so doesn't cause anybody else to wreck out. Just spins Mike Springer down to the inside wall, gives himself a little bit of damage. Maybe not as good of a finish as he would like, but he is gonna make it into these playoffs. And right as we were talking about him, Martin, that's the broadcaster's curse, I guess. That's how that works, right?
yeah. But I think, yeah, the playoffs are basically set. There might be, not sure what will happen if there's any participation issues. I mean, Jonathan Schwartz is a question mark. I hope he, points-wise, he's safe. So it all depends on if he's, like, if there's an issue that he can't race at all during the playoffs. I don't know if we'll open the playoffs up for Sam Niederhelm or if we'll just go with 15 drivers. Had the same sort of issue going on in the Grand National Series. The top 14 included a few guys that are no longer in the league, and some guys that, like a Zach Wetstein, who was right there, but he just hasn't raced at all this season. So we dropped it down to 13 drivers, and we'll see what happens going into the playoffs here. But those top 16 that we started with at the beginning of this race are still your top 16 for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's Anthony Burrows, who claims another victory here tonight. That'll be 27 bonus points for him going into these playoffs. Wade Hustad with 15 bonus points. Jonathan Schwartz with 9. Chad Presnall with 6. Thomas Harmon, 3 bonus points. Hunter Johnson with 3 bonus points. And you have Eric Johnson, Mike Springer, Chris James, Dustin Musial, John Theodore. Eric Wolf will jump up a few spots and claim 3 bonus points going into these playoffs. Joshua Wakefield, Aaron James, David Wright, also with 3 bonus points, and David Wellborn Jr. That'll be the 16 drivers in these playoffs coming into the Molnar Automotive Cup Series chase for the championship. I can't wait, Martin. The race for the chase has been good, man, but I can't imagine things getting any better than the playoff race we have next week at Las Vegas. It's going to be a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, and Burrows is going to be looking for his second straight win, looking to sweep and maintain his name on that winner's trophy for DRL at Las Vegas. Won the last 2 races there, first season and the second season, both the spring races, and now looking to add a playoff Las Vegas win to his resume.
That's Anthony Burrows, our winner for tonight's race. We're going to roll through these unofficial results real quick. Burrows does take the win with 18 laps led there at the end of the race. Eric Wolf dominated the race this evening, a little bit slower than Burrows on the longer runs, but he does take a second place. Joseph Helton third, and the number 02, Christopher in fourth. Fifth goes to Thomas Harmon. Sixth, Eric Johnson. Hunter Johnson comes in seventh. 8th goes to Chad Presnall. 9th, Mike Springer. 10th goes to John Theodore. Aaron James brings up the 11th position. 12th goes to Carl Dodson. 13th, Jim Westerfield. 14th, Alexander Russell. 15th, the 59 of Matt Kleinschmidt, a couple laps down after those early connection issues. Sam Niederhelm takes 16th. 17th goes to Dustin Musial. 18th, David Wellborn, who does get back out on the track and claim a couple spots back. 19th goes to Cy Jackson. 20th to John Mullins. 21st to Getty Buckner. 22nd, PJ O'Leary. 23rd, Chris James. 24th, Edward Birch. 25th goes to Ben Izanga. 26th, Wade Hustad. 27th, Mitchell Briggs. 28th, Alec Martinez. And the 29th position goes to James Pandolf, the owner of the league. So that is the end of the standings for tonight. We are going to bring in the winner of this race. That is Anthony Burrows in the number 62. Let's go down and see how Anthony feels about his 9th victory here with the Dynasty Racing League. Anthony Burrows, you got a copy?
Yeah, I get you.
Hey, so that's win number 9, man. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Always cool to win at Indy. And win back-to-back Crown Jewel races is pretty cool. Nice way to end up the regular season. Hopefully this carries on to the chase next week.
Yeah, these playoffs are starting up. Eric Wolf seemed a little faster than you on the short runs. Not quite as fast as you on the longer runs. How'd you take it away from him? Were you running a better line, maybe saving tires better? Or?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I pitted a lap later than him, I believe. I don't think it made a huge difference on tires, but I think there's a bit of a difference there. But I was pushing really that whole run. I didn't really see a reason to save. We only won about 20 laps, so yeah, I just pushed that whole run and just got lucky, I guess. So I really don't know how I was able to get up there and beat him for that.
Yeah, after multiple cautions there in the middle of the race, it kind of made that last stint kind of split in half earlier than expected. You guys didn't have to do the 30 lap or 32, 33 lap fuel runs. You could take tires a little bit earlier than needed based on the fuel. So we did see you gaining on him early in the race in the longer runs, and were able to get in front of him, and he stayed behind you. That was the weird thing, right? Is you made the pass, but then he kept the same exact gap for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I was scared he was gonna start catching me. He started closing in on me about 10 to go, but then I kind of evened out for the rest of the race after that.
Well, congrats, man. Again, most wins so far this season. Most wins in the Dynasty Racing League history. I mean, the last season you dominated things. Eric stole it from you at the very last race of the season. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year. We can't wait to watch you in the playoffs. And congrats again on first place. You want to shout out anybody tonight?
Yeah, definitely shout out for Eric for the clean racing. We had a good little battle really throughout the whole race. Shout out to everyone in that race, pretty clean. Everyone around me raced pretty clean. Shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast as always, and shout out to James and everyone for putting on this league. Really looking forward to the playoffs.
All right, man. Well, we will see you next week at Las Vegas. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
That was Anthony Burrows, our first place finisher for tonight. Our leader going into these playoffs. We're going to now bring in Eric Wolf and get a chat with him. Eric Wolf, do you have a copy, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, man, second place finish. You led the most laps tonight, but as you said earlier in the race, Burrows was good on those longer runs. What happened there?
Yeah, I tried. He was just quick. He's a great driver. He got by me, and I couldn't run him back down.
Yeah, you were able to maintain your distance after he got around you, which was surprising to me. Like it felt like he gained on you a little quicker than he did earlier in the green flag runs, and then you stayed basically in the same position you did behind him. Did you find something there at the very end of the race?
Nah, just I was pushing really hard. I was right at the limit. I wasn't pushing that hard at the beginning, but he had 1 lap pressure tires, which doesn't seem like much, but from lap 1 and lap 2, that's nearly half a second. So that's why he was gaining on me so quickly at first. And I thought, if I can save a little bit, and once he gets to me, I can pin him down a couple times and be able to beat him. But I just couldn't do it. He got by me.
Well, just like you said about the race earlier tonight, there was a lot of race left. There's still a lot of season left, but you lock yourself into these playoffs, and I know you're very good at Homestead. How are you feeling going in here?
So breaking news, I'm not going to compete for the championship. I'm going to pull out from here on out. Best of luck to everybody in it. It's going to be a great battle down to the end. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Final Four down at Homestead. It's a great track. It'll put on a good race, I'm sure.
Well, it's unfortunate to see you go. Hopefully we'll have you back maybe in the Winter Series or next season, but definitely breaking news to me. I had no idea you wouldn't be here, so.
Yeah, I got some other things going on, so I'm going to pull out of the league for a while, but it was a lot of fun racing.
Obviously, real life more important than iRacing is on any given day, but thank you for your participation. Thanks for the awesome regular season you gave us so far this year, and yeah, can't wait to see you back here racing again, man.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
You want to shout out anybody tonight?
Yeah, all the people I've had the pleasure racing against this season. Me and Anthony have had our battles. it's been a lot of fun. I mean, there's so many guys we raced against. I've had a pretty good experience from the driver's seat. And then everybody behind the scenes, Martin, you've putting on the broadcast. Martin does so much behind the scenes too with graphics, and Jordan Gonzalez, James Pandolf for putting the league on. Tater Bowman, he's helped me out a ton. I know I come whining to him about an hour before the race for this and say, hey, can you put a banner on my car? And he's just a stand-up guy and always comes through for me. So shout out to him and all the DPR guys. I know I'm going on a little bit, but it's been fun. They deserve to be thanked.
Well, thank you, Eric. Have a wonderful night, man, and we wish you the best of luck.
All right, appreciate it. Bye.
See ya. Now we're going to grab Joseph Helt, who ends up coming in third tonight. Awesome race by him. Find Mr. Helt here real quick. It's Joseph Helt. You got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I got you guys.
A third place finish, man. You started 11th tonight. You're just barely going to miss these playoffs. And we just had some news. Eric Wolf is not going to compete in playoffs this season. We haven't seen the likes of Jonathan Schwartz lately. Don't know how the league's going to handle it. How would you feel if they let you sneak in here at the end of the season?
Hey, man, that'd be welcomed. I've got a lot of life changes coming up here soon, so I don't know what the fall holds for me, but hopefully I can get in there and participate.
Well, whether you make it or not, man, we've seen some awesome racing from you. You've won a couple here with the DRL already. You come over with another third place tonight, and hopefully you'll be back for the Winter Series and next year. Are you looking forward to those? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Going to hopefully get on board for the Winter Series, obviously schedule permitting. But yeah, I'm very excited for next season.
What was it like out there tonight? Very technical track. You seem to just hang around in the top 5, as I'm used to saying, as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, really like Indianapolis. Has that Pocono feel, so definitely tracks that I really like. It bounced around from about 12th to 6th for a while there, and then once the cautions finally stopped, then I was able to work my way forward.
Yeah, one of the turns at Pocono actually modeled after Indianapolis, so you did very well. Again, it's a technical track, but you did awesome, man. Congrats again on third. You want to shout out anybody tonight?
Thanks, guys, for doing what you're doing. Everybody who's watching, really appreciate it. Keep supporting the league. This is a fun one.
Have a wonderful night, Joe.
Thanks, guys. You too.
And that was Joseph Helt, our third place finisher for this evening. We're actually going to go down now and talk to, if he's still available, I'm going to try to grab Mike Springer here and see if he's available. Ended up sticking around. There he is. Mike Springer, do you have a copy, sir?
Yes, sir. How's it going, guys?
Wonderful, man. We talked about you a couple times tonight. By the way, awesome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Awesome new paint scheme there in the number 12. I loved it, but you're one of those drivers that, barring that unfortunate circumstance there at the very end of the race, pushed the car maybe a little bit too hard coming out of that corner. But you're one of those guys who sticks around in the top 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers. You're always right there, yet to come away with the win here at the DRL. Are you taking steps to try to take victory away from a couple of these fast guys, or what do you think?
Yeah, I just need I need Anthony and Eric not to show up, and then Wade to have problems, and then I could just slide on in. But top 5. I'm good with top 5. Those guys are fast, and I like the long green flags. I like the close racing, and I was chasing Thomas down, and I want to run him over, but you can't. You want to pass him clean, so it's fun doing it that way. And yeah, I pushed it too hard when I crashed there at the end.
Yeah, some of them just so quick every single week. But again, I said you're Mr. Consistent, and hopefully a couple of these guys will make a mistake or two here in the playoffs, and maybe you can compete for a championship at Homestead, man. We wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm good at Homestead, and I've actually won races in other leagues, just hanging out in the top 5 and waiting for something to happen. So that's kind of the game plan here, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, that's a good thing. Obviously, there's a few cuts that are going to happen between now and then. We don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but we wish you the best of luck in the playoffs, sir. Congrats on tonight's race. It's a top 10, another notch in the belt. We'll see you again next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. And that was Mike Springer. He does come in 9th this evening. Last person we want to chat with is John Theodore, who did come in 10th there in the Corey Bush Ford. Let's go down and grab Mr. Theodore and see what he has to say after this evening. John Theodore, you got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4. Let me beat you guys on the broadcast real quick. How about that race control tonight?
Kind of like Mr. Getty begging for a shout out last week. Was Tater begging for a shout out tonight?
No, he wasn't, but I figured I'd just continue the joke from last week. How you guys doing?
Good, and yourself?
Feeling a lot better than I was around lap.
Hey, very similar to the guy that we just chatted with in Mike Springer. You're one of those guys who's real consistent. It seems like you see you in the top 10, sometimes top 5, week in and week out. But you're not coming away with the wins. Is that kind of the game plan going into these playoffs here? Just hang around, hope somebody makes a mistake, and try to move forward through the stages and grab one at Homestead?
I mean, the game plan's going to be try to get a win if I can get it. Obviously, I would prefer to be contending for wins, but coming into these things, I'm still obviously lacking a little bit of speed versus the real quick guys like Burrows, Wolf, and Hustad. So, it's just going to be try to fit as much practice into my schedule through the week, and just kind of continue to do the same strategy I've been doing all year, which is try to get the best possible finish that I can get each week and get the most points that I can get. So if I can get a win, obviously that's the best, but I'm just going to try to get what the absolute best I can get over these 10 weeks. And if we can make Homestead, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure that's everybody's game plan going forward. Finish as well as you can. We asked the same question to Burrows last week, but I'm curious about equipment. I know you have a stream of your own. I've watched your stream. You wear gloves when you race. Can you give us some insight? What wheel do you use? Do you use load cell pedals, and do you use 3 monitors? Because I know you don't use virtual reality.
Yeah. So, and by the way, I actually did leave my contacts. If you guys want to screen, you can do that. I have a Fanatec. I have a Fanatic setup, so I've got the CSL Elite wheel. I upgraded it to get the Alcantara wrap on the wheel. I've got the Club Sport shifter, and then I also sprung a little bit extra to get the V3 pedals, so that does give me a load cell brake, which definitely helps make the braking zones more predictable. I do not run trips. My computer probably couldn't quite handle that. It's several years old at this point. So I run single monitor, and then I've just, for the streaming, I've actually got a pretty detailed, it's almost a 2-hour long video that goes through like my entire setup, how I set up everything to do the stream and stuff like that. So for anyone else who is interested in getting into streaming, I put that video up for them. That shows you how to configure OBS Studio, how to get Q2 apps running so you get all the overlays that I have, where to put your webcam, some general tips about streaming and stuff like that. It's a pretty all-inclusive tutorial. And I'm also, always happy to help folks out if anyone's interested in getting in. People can drop a message on one of my videos, shoot me a private message through Twitch. There are all kinds of different ways to get in touch with me. If you go into Twitch and get my Discord link, you can hop into Discord and ping me there too.
That's awesome, dude. It's good to hear somebody trying to help out the other guys and get everybody into this and make this thing more of a community thing. I have to admit to you, I'm a little bit jealous about the Fanatec setup, man. A set of load cell pedals and that CSL Elite is probably about as good of a wheel and pedal setup as you could get, as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah, no, I mean, I would love to upgrade at some point to a direct drive setup, but that's gonna wait. Right now
you're getting crazy, Theodore. You gotta get that. You gotta get that graphics card upgraded and get some virtual reality going first.
Oh yeah, well, probably not virtual reality. That wouldn't. I don't think my viewers would like that as much. So I'm probably gonna go trips over virtual reality. Just because it's better for the live streaming experience.
Right.
But I am planning on, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. I've already got on PCPartPicker.com. I've got a whole list of parts spec'd out. I've been watching tons of, because I've never built a PC myself. Right. So I've been watching Linus Tech Tips videos, Jay's 2 cents.
Linus is pretty good, man.
Yeah, no, Linus is awesome. And the other one is Paul's Harbor. So I've been watching like tons of those. Gomez Racing, thank you for the follow. But I've got what did I spec out? I've got a AMD Ryzen 7 2700X processor, NVIDIA GTX 1080i. Like basically, what my goal is, I want to try to upgrade things to get to the point where I can comfortably run iRacing on max graphics settings. Not that it would make a huge difference for me, but that creates a better visual product for my audience.
Oh, you
And
can
then
do
the
that.
other
You can do that easily just with that video card upgrade, man. So
right, but the reason I'm going with the Ryzen processor is that gives me 8 cores and 16 threads, so that I can try to do my stream output in 1080p instead of 720 as well. So that's those two things: running on max graphics and then getting the stream to output in higher quality is kind of my goal with that system. Again, just upgrade the experience for my viewers.
Well, unlike yourself, I've built quite a few PCs, and I can tell you right now, with that Ryzen 7 and a 1080 Ti, you will be more than capable of doing what you're trying to do. So,
yeah, it's going to be a huge upgrade over the i7 2700K and GTX 570 that I'm currently running.
Whoa, the 570. What is this? 2010?
That is when this computer was built. So I don't know if you guys ever knew of it, but there was a mech game that was on Steam for a little while called Hawken. So that was the last video game that I worked on when I worked in the game industry as a tester.
Right.
And when they folded, they were basically, this was, I think it was like 2012, 13 or something like that. But they built the PCs around 2010, 2011, something like that. The IT guy just basically built custom PCs for everyone as their workstations and for us to use while we were developing the game and testing the game and stuff like that. We needed to have high specs to be able to play the game at max settings and really stress test it out. But when the company went under, they basically had to liquidate all the assets. So I got this rig, which at the time was pretty nice, for about $400.
Oh, there you go, man.
Deal at the time.
It's paid off for years. You're still using it in 2018, so there's something to be said about that. But
absolutely, and like the thing is, the reason why I'm going with a build rather than upgrading this thing is because this is a working PC right now. It works, and one of my IT buddies told me, like, look, there is value in having a PC that just works. So I'm going to keep this intact rather than trying to swap parts out and mess with it too much. I actually did just upgrade it to an SSD hard drive, which has improved it a lot. But I'm going to keep this one working. The case is actually a really nice case. So after I get the new computer, I could maybe do some things to make this a productivity computer, and maybe, if I want to go really crazy down the line, have this be, a capture PC that's solely devoted to the streaming.
Yeah, you can have it as a separate streaming PC, which would be awesome.
Oh yeah, there's not much you can kind of swap out on that thing anyway, because you're gonna probably need a new motherboard and everything to support a new graphics card and
all these new chips
anyway. So
all the new chips and stuff, they change every year. If there's
that's the problem. I mean, that's the problem with my computer. That's the problem with my computer. It's like I'm thinking it's like, oh, I could swap out things, and it's like, no, I need a new motherboard anyway if I want to get the new i7. So
yeah,
I might just have to another computer.
The i7 2700K isn't what's limiting this thing graphics wise. It's definitely that GTX 570.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I could upgrade that to like a 980 or a 1070 or something like that, that would probably be.
Oh yeah, your 1070. I mean, I run max graphics, and 1070 is just fine for that.
Yeah,
for
I don't know. I don't know if that's the only thing that I'd have to check. Is I'd have to find a video card that's compatible with it. I think it's got an Asus motherboard, but I'd have to grab the model number off of it and then see what newer graphics cards would be compatible with it.
Well, John, but just so you know, before you go into that, graphics, as far as that's concerned, as long as it has a PCI 16X slot, that any of today's, most of today's graphics cards will still be able to be used on it, but you can only upgrade so far with the CPU that it has. But thank you for giving us some insight into what you have. I don't know if you realize it or not, or if this might be a kind of a weird thing to hear, but you're one of those guys in iRacing that you got a lot of viewers compared to many of the other guys in iRacing, and uh, enjoy watching you. I'm glad you tune in and show up for these races every Tuesday night, and I hope you continue to show up to our races every week. Just as much thanks to you as anybody else who watches the Dynasty Racing League and participates in the Dynasty Racing League, and all of our staff members here. You're getting the word out there. You're spreading around the love, and I hope that you enjoy the DRL as much as I do, and as much as all of our viewers do, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, this league's been a lot of fun to compete in for sure. Tonight, the start of tonight's race was rocky, but like I was talking with my streamers, I'm like, this was a really rough kind of fits and starts kind of one for this one, but that's not typical of how races tend to go in this league. We tend to get really good, just like competitive, close racing without contact, which is what I really like about this league and some of the other leagues that I run in as well. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement where, I'm able to bring my audience in and open up the league to you guys, but you guys also give me a really good product to put on the screen for my viewers too. So it works out really well. And as far as the audience, like it's been kind of crazy. I've only been streaming on Twitch for a year, and I only do iRacing. And yeah, it's just the streams just kind of really, we talked about it a little bit last week, but I went like 4 months where I didn't have any viewers. I'll give a shout out to Hey Shady Lady, Ty Baca. Those are the two names that she goes by. She's got a fantastic tutorial video about how to talk to yourself, or how to just keep dialogue going, keep talking on stream, even if you don't have people active in chat, how to just keep a dialogue going so that when people join in, they join into a streamer who's active and engaging. And that's how you build an audience. Yeah, exactly. Like if she talks about it, like if you join in on and they're just kind of sitting there at their keyboard, just kind of going through the motions, and they don't say anything for like 30 or 45 seconds, she'll leave that channel and then go on to the next one. But if she pops in and the person's like active, engaged, talking, having a good time, then she'll pop in and chat, and that gives you an opportunity to have those interactions. And that's really how you start to build an audience, is that everyone starts out with only like 3 or 4 viewers. But if you are able to retain those viewers who are popping in and just looking for something new, that number tends to grow, and that's what bumps you up so that you show up in that top row of folks, and you really start building an audience from there. And it takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of work. So the important thing is, for me, is this is my hobby. I'd be doing this if I had no viewers. I'd still be doing the same thing. The original reason I started the stream was just to, it was an easy way for me to create a race archive to kind of have captured on YouTube, just a full archive of my iRacing career. That was all I was going to do. If anyone watched, it's like, awesome. That's a cool bonus. But it's really grown into something that's really cool. My viewers are, it's like hanging out and gaming with your friends. I've got, my viewers, I know most of the folks who pop in on chat. Wow. My engine just got out of the game. That's hilarious. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, it's just really cool how it's kind of grown organically.
Yeah, it's the same guys who show up every week
year.
and who attend, and again, yeah, it does feel like a family, which is what DRL feels like here. So congrats again, 10th place finish. You make it into the playoffs. We can't wait to watch you race in those playoffs, and I hope to be interviewing you again moving forward, man. You got a shout out that you want to give to anyone?
Yeah, shout out to Corey Bush for sure. Still running the Corey Bush car, which is what we started running the season with. It's kind of my version of a season-long throwback to the days when a driver would, have one sponsor or one logo on the car, and they would just kind of run that paint that throughout the season. Changed up the look a little bit with the new ZL1, but even though the campaign didn't turn out the way that we wanted to, Corey's still fighting the good fight and basically doing that, public service in the community and demonstrating exactly why so many of us supported her and continue to support her. So, whatever's next for her is going, whether it's going to be another run or something else entirely, is going to be fantastic. And she's got a lot of folks. So I always want to give her a shout out. Shout out to Nathan Jurgensen, who is my spotter again tonight. He does a fantastic job spotting and, just really helps keep me calm. I was not happy when I got caught up in that wreck. And he helped calm me down, get me refocused, and I would not have come away with the top 10 probably if it wasn't for him settling me down and getting refocused on that. And then also just a couple shout outs, to